right. Let's get the old chat box up. Up. Oh, there we go. Get everything nice and set up here.
Oh yeah, we're fiefing.
Yeah, we're fiefing. We are fiefing.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our Minecraft Let's Play. Today we're going to be fighting the Ender Dragon, so get ready for a fun time.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The key is to use the fishing pole.
Oh, true.
No, you got to use bets, bro. Fishing pole is for noobs.
I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. We're actually going to see who can win first.
I'm getting the link in the chat. Link in the chat. And then...
Just to clarify for those watching, Real is not the king. It's referring to somebody else, because Real is not a... I don't know if he deserves that title.
Real is the peasant.
Return of the Peasant.
Return of the peasant. No.
There we go. Google how to change title after starting stream. We just had a banger pop up.
All right. Sorry, everybody. I'm almost done getting set up here. I appreciate your patience. Such kind people. Can we do the warden after? What's the warden?
Do the warden after the Ender Dragon. That's crazy.
Is that a Minecraft boss?
Yeah, it's like they added it somewhat recently. It's like this really annoying underground mob that is pretty hard.
Oh.
They added like a whole underground city thing, but they have that issue where there's no reason to explore it or anything. At least last time I played. So it's like insanely hard with 0 rewards.
Nice. That sounds like...
We had Jade Cicada enter this week. Whoa.
What? That's crazy. We did.
Jade Cicada Goober time. You got it all queued up.
Oh yeah, it's a fire song. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder why it's there.
Surely you weren't listening to Jade Cicada. Ew.
That guy, I don't know. He's kind of like...
The new Jade Cicada is so good.
Oh yeah, dude.
Nah, Real, you're lying. The best Jade Cicada is the Flip EP where he remixed Slim Shady. Come on.
I mean, that one's pretty good, but I don't know.
I like the new.
His first track on that album is so catchy. It's crazy.
The Neuro one?
I don't know. It's like very chordy. I don't know. I don't know if it's Neuro. It's all Neuro. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, that one's like the most blatant Neuro sound design with the little chordy boy too.
Lunar Fade?
Yeah, Lunar Fade. Yeah. The main track.
On fire.
Yeah.
The granular and it's super good.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see here. How's the volume, everybody here? Oh, I just realized this is actually louder than it should be. And of
Just
course,
turn it up even more because it's fire.
And of course, I can't find Bitwig.
No, it's the Bitwig audio engineering. It's the
yeah. That's...
It's not cool enough to get an icon.
I see. Yeah, it definitely feels like a squelch.
Yeah.
That's
squelch, actually, dude. That's actually Magduit on the beat. He just made a synth so it looks like he's playing it.
Yeah, dude, that's me just going, like, you can't see it, but I have like a third keyboard in front of me, and I'm just going, that's like basically what I'm doing.
No, it's your second mouth that's just saying that into the mic. Don't fall for his lies.
Yeah. All right, I think we're ready. Let us embark upon this journey. We're back at it again with the Rhythmics forever, dude. Forever.
Fire.
That was dope.
I feel like that was my favorite rhythmics yet. No cap.
Yeah, there's a banger flock flip too. That one won, I think, right?
I must have missed that one.
Yeah.
A tragedy. Yeah, I guess I'll start off. Does it need another drop? Yeah, dude. Always 2 drops. 2 drops is the way. That's what all the cool kids are doing. Do the drums do it? No. And I don't mean that in a harsh way. I just think you could definitely do more with the hi-hats, add some swing, do a little, little spicing up, maybe add a couple little other hi-hats in there, maybe an open one. I also think that the kick was not sidechained enough. Kind of felt like it was a little boomy with the bass. But oh yeah, dude. No, I'm just answering those questions, brother. Overall loudness, mix, arrangement. I feel like everything about this I loved in those categories. Yeah. Those are really my thoughts, I guess, on those questions. But what do you guys think?
Do you want to go first? Yeah, I'll go first since he's talking. Does it need another drop? Yes, unless you want to make like this one double the length. But I don't know if that's the vibe. You can. What I would do is I would go to a break, and you're asking kind of about ideas too. I'd go into like a break and keep some of the same sounds in there, take away the drums or like add minimal Foley drums, and then like introduce a counter melody on top of it, like to accent the melody that you have here, or like an ARP or any like counter theme to go alongside it, and then drop it with like an emphasis on that counter theme. Like you can tease, maybe come up with like a whole new melody and then filter it in subtly, like subtly, yeah, that word, on top of like the break, and then when the drop hits, you can play like the full melody on top. So it'll have like you'll tease it in the break, and then you have like a full theme for your new drop. Do the drums do it? Like Magda had said, I think that flock flips, you gotta rush through the drums, but then when you get to like the actual arranging and stuff outside, if you want to continue it, you can take a lot more leeway and taking time to like really hone in on good samples and everything. I think you asking it means that you know the answer. The common flock saying. Overall loudness mix arrangement, I agree with Magdude. I think this is really cooking. It's like when you do a flock flip and it turns out fire, that's when you know that the ideas are really cooking and that the mix, it was pretty good so far. I think that maybe loudness pushing can be a little bit better. If you like play a little bit of the drop, let me look at the levels again real quick, Magdude.
Yeah. Although keep in mind it's like a teeny bit turned down for you guys, so it's not
Yeah, I know.
blowing up on stream.
Loudness actually looks pretty good, low key.
That's what I was thinking. This is like
Maybe
actually impressive.
with the drums being better, it'll probably sit fully. The drums are mainly what's missing. I think maybe not trap completely, but just fixing drums. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Good shit.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this. I like this a lot. The new drop, yeah, but you could really, because it's like kind of open and there's room. You could realistically copy paste your first drop and then fill more space with like a vocally pad type thing if you wanted to. You could put that in at any point, honestly. This is something I was hearing. It's super subjective. Low-key, I like the drums. I don't think you need to go like really complex with it. I really like the sample selection, especially the snappy clap. That's super nice. I wouldn't get like too busy with the drum arrangement. It's not like a energetic busy song. It's like it's nice. Like I would if I was like doing homework and some shit and listening to a playlist, I would like this if it came on because it's like nice and soothing and mellow and it's not too complicated. Which is hard to do, like a minimal style without like just filling stuff up. It's hard to make something sound good like that, and you did it. Loudness, I wouldn't worry about loudness. It sounds good how it is. Don't squash it. Mix is clean, arrangement's nice. Like I remember I said in the vlog clip too, that like outro just sounds so good. I don't know if it's like just one of the samples reversed, but it just fits perfectly. But yeah, I don't know. I think do a second drop, but don't like overthink it. Don't get too complicated. You have the idea right there. Just kind of continue to
Yeah.
build off that idea because it's a really good idea. And
Just
even if you
add,
didn't do a second drop, I wouldn't be mad. It sounds good.
add like a descending melodic motif, like a little pluck that goes down, because the I think the chord has like a top voice that moves up, and if you have like a descending motif against that, it'll sound really good and fill up more space. Yeah, Percy's repping the Percy sample. Let's go. Anyways, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got. This is good.
Yeah, fire Rhythmics. That on God, my favorite one from you yet. That was cool. That was really cool. Thank you. All right, next up we got a deadly combination, yo. Oh gosh.
What are a
Hopefully-
few deadly combinations?
Um
Drinking and driving. It's a fun one.
yeah,
though.
that is definitely not a vibe, and it's not fun, Percy. It's not fun. All right. Yeah, let's get it.
Fuck 'em. I didn't wanna go to heaven anyway. Jehovah said I'm born from the pearly gate. Fuck 'em.
Go.
I guess real is gone for now, so it's up to you, Percy. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll go first. How's the mix? Mix sounds pretty good. I think that the might be like a personal thing, but I think you can maybe do a little bit of EQing on the mid basses. Not like a bunch, but just a little bit of like soothe or something. Maybe a little bit of like maybe it's more of a timbral thing, but I think you could, and this kind of goes with something else that I'm gonna say. But I think maybe like some timbral switch up. You have a lot of like these mid basses that have like a bunch of resonances and like I think it's like the 600 to 1K range, but I don't know off the top of my head. But there's a lot of resonances, or a little bit higher than that, like 800 to 2K range. And I think that you could like switch up the timbres, maybe do like a a couple of high-end harmonic basses or like a couple of more squished bass. Like, of course, I'm the neuro shill, so I'm gonna say this, but I think you could do a couple of like Philly basses that have more harmonic density than just like a few resonances. Like do a couple unison saw fills, something like that. I think the intro bass sounds clipped. Convinced myself it's fine as it is. I think it's pretty good. Can you play the intro bass real quick? I think it sounded a little bit clipped, but hitting the drop now. Yeah, that's good. I think you could probably, I don't know if it's a clipping issue, but maybe it's too up in the front for me. Like I think you could EQ it more aggressively because it's an intro. Maybe like dub delay it, put some echo on it, wash it in reverb. Cause it feels very upfront for what it is, which is like a bass tease in the intro. And that might be like a genre thing. I don't listen to too much of this genre. Does the drop sub need a more restrictive low pass? I don't think so. It sounded good to me. Oh wait, are these the right questions? What the? Oh no, I grabbed the questions from last week, Magduit. I was
Oh,
like,
That's okay. Yeah, I'll,
oopsies. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you got him. Do you have them? I can see
I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Scratch all that. My bad. Okay. Anyways, thoughts on second drop. The synth doesn't sound full to me. Debating changing it altogether. I don't think it's an issue with the synth in and of itself. Like I think it works like bass wise. I think kind of to go along with your second question, is there anything that made you lose interest? What's it missing? Well, I think that you need call and response is what I was missing a lot here. Like it can be timbral call and response, or it can be like having on the downbeat. You have this bump, 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 bump. You have like that flow kind of going the whole time. You could do on a downbeat just like a 2 times LFO, like 2 times the length. It goes like wah, but dump, bump, 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 or like whatever the melody is, which I liked. But I think having that call and response would really break up the flow and make it feel like more separate units instead of having it be one long drawn out flow. Cause like right now it feels like the basses are kind of monologuing, like taking turns just saying like 5 paragraphs of dialogue after another when you really want it to be like a conversation. Like one bass says something and then the other bass says something. And it doesn't take too long because you have like this call and response that makes stuff feel like it's changing more, even if you just repeat that call and response. So I think that would add a lot of the interest that I was missing personally. I think the sub fit pretty well to my ears. I'm on shitty headphone or not shitty, but I'm on bad headphones for listening to sub though, so other people might have better feedback. Other than that, I liked it quite a bit. Aside from I guess what I said about the other questions that weren't the real questions was kind of good because it hit on my thoughts about the intro. But yeah, Magdu, what do you got to say?
Okay, so I definitely agree with basically everything you said. I think the biggest thing about the losing interest thing was that call and response energy. I think my brain goes timbrally. I think that like the more timbres you have in your tracks, at least when it comes to this style of music, the more it tickles my brain, but that's also just opinion. But I also think it's not too hard to do, so it's probably easier than doing like arrangement changes. You can just duplicate a patch, change a couple of parameters a little bit, and kind of call it a day. But yeah, I think that is one thing. The other thing is I feel like there's no melodics. So yeah. Oh, my microphone's quiet. Hang on. All right, here we go. I turned it up a little bit.
Put Camel Crusher on your microphone.
Hopefully that's a bit better. Thank you, Twan. Yeah, so I think, I would say adding some kind of melodic elements during the drop could be good, even if it's something super simple. I know that I don't always do that in my tracks, but because this track, the reason why I don't do it is because my tracks are already so full frequency-wise. So like the spectrum is like a brick. In your track, you have a lot of room in the mid-range, so and even the high frequency. So I think you could put like a fun little melodic thing in there, even if it's just temporarily or for periods of time. So, you know, you could just add like an offbeat stab, like a reggae, you know, stab, or something like that. I think that could help a lot. With the keeping people constantly hyped about the next 8 bars. Does the sub sound like it fits well into the mid basses? Yeah, I didn't notice anything bad about it. And yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. Like really, like the big 2 things that stuck out to me were was the lack of timbral variety, and then yeah, like lots of empty space, which I get. Like this is almost a deep dub style of mixing, but even in deep dub you have some things to counter melody that bass. So like even if it's more Foley with reverb or delayed perks or anything like that, like more of that I think would be really cool for this song. But yeah, what do you think, Real? What are your thoughts?
This is nice. My girlfriend said it gave distinct Motive vibes. I agree with that. Second drop, I mean, it is very similar to the first drop, and you could make it different just by changing like what harmonic you're pushing. I don't know if you're using like FM to make the patch, it kind of sounds like it, but I don't know. You could just like FM from a different like octave or harmonic. And yeah, it's not super full, but I feel like it's as full as it needs to be to like complement the first drop. I wouldn't change it all together though. Just do like Magduit said, like duplicate it, change a couple parameters, call it a day. Is there anything that made you lose interest? Kinda, but that's just because like I'm a freak for sound design, so I like hearing like an excessive amount of variation. The general public does not though, so take that with a grain of salt. Most people like repetition, especially in a live setting. Like I feel like I wouldn't lose interest if this was live and like really loud, but just listening like on speakers at home, it was lacking like a little bit of variation. You could, Maggie said this, you could do just something that pulls the previous 8 bars or 4 bars into the next 4 bar, 8 bar section. It could be like a fucking like dub siren, or even like that like the like radio click that everybody uses in deep dub. Just like little things like that in the top end. And they don't have to be constant. It's like here and there, add some variation. Sub sound like it fits. It does, honestly. I was looking at Minimeters to see if you were even using an independent sub, because I was gonna tell you that like I figured it might be stereo too. But yeah, sub sounded good, looks really good on Minimeters. Other creative feedback. Yeah, not a lot. Just like change up the patch on the second drop. The melody's nice, the motif is nice. Just and even like I don't know how you're processing it, but the Cohen sound thing is like you have your filter movement for the sound, and before you do your filter movement, you can do like peaks and notches so that each time it opens and closes, the sound is like a little bit different, and that's oftentimes enough for me to be like completely satisfied, because you don't really notice it, but it sounds different every single time.
Yeah.
And it keeps your interest. But yeah, this is a
All
good
the
song.
stuff you can like hear on another listen. Do like maybe a Reese fill to pull around into like another 8 bar segment. And then that would fill up space too, because you can do like a Reese fill and then reverb it, and then like kind of high pass it as you get out of the fill, like have it start with full bass and then like high, or even band pass it. So it goes from like really low at the start of the fill and then band pass it up. So as the fill ends, it's high end, and then that high end gets smeared into the next bar. So it's like a good turnaround. Just thought of that.
But no, dude, that was a deadly combination. He wasn't lying. That was facts. But yeah, I think that's everything that you guys wanted to say. I'm hyped about this though. I feel like your sound design is good, so I think just go deeper with the sound design, and you're pretty much like game set match. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, all right. Next up, we got Schlep. Sup, V fam. Sup, Schlep. Let us embark upon the journey.
Till I get
Nice.
That was insane.
Love that.
Yeah, that was a vibe. Yeah, Real, do you
Real
want
is
to
up
kick us
on the
off?
chopping block.
Yeah, I don't know. This was super good. The variation was really good. It kept me interested the whole time. All the sound design was super cool. The movement on everything was just like fucking crazy. And there was like tons of movement, but it all glued together really well, which is cool. Even when you're going from like sound to sound really fast. Yeah, this is really nice. Trying to push the limits on intentional phasing. Yeah, you did really good. I didn't. It all the phasing sounded really good. It didn't. None of it sounded negative. I was looking at millimeters for part of it. The low end was phasing in some parts, so just, I mean, independent sub the parts where it was phasing, because there were a few times where it like noticeably dropped out. But all the other phasing sounded good. Maybe you didn't independent sub some parts yet, or maybe you're not going to, which is okay too. Just put like the bass mono on it and make sure it's still pushing, because sometimes the bass mono does funny things where like it just like sums it and it's the same as if it were stereo, but it's mono and phasing. Kick patterns and perk progressions. I don't know. I thought the drums sounded really good. I didn't get bored at all. Like at no point was I like, okay, give me something else. Not quite satisfied with the build-ups. Feel kind of stuck. I thought the first build-up was amazing. Also, the second fill you did right before the drop, before the second drop, was super fucking cool. I don't know. Maybe like push the high end in some parts a little bit harder. Not with like distortion, just like mid-side EQ or even just regular EQ. Just like shelf it a little bit for more crispiness. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about this. For the keeping kick patterns and perks interesting, look at like Cohen Sound. They just, I mean, they're like the only people I tell people to reference, but they're so fucking good. And they switch their drums up all the time, but the rhythm is still, I haven't figured out how they do it, but at no point does their music become not danceable because they switch the drum patterns, which I think is the goal. And it's really hard to do that because when you're playing stuff out, people are dancing to one pattern. And then if you switch it up too drastically, it just, you kind of lose them for a second, which you really don't want. But yeah, I don't know. This was super fucking fire. You should ping me when this drops because I'll listen to it.
Yeah, this is DK. Can I go second back to it?
Oh yeah, flex, bro.
All right. So all right, first, like with what Real said, I think a lot of the times when they switch up the kick patterns like that, it's because they use a fill that will like very, very obviously hint at a new pattern being switched up. So like when you have a fill, it might have a rhythm that would normally take you out of it, but it's okay because it's a fill. And you can use like that. It's like when you're in a movie, there's like people will they'll believe stuff that they wouldn't believe because it's fiction, right? But it's like if you have a fill, people will be able to fuck with rhythms that they wouldn't fuck with normally because it's a fill and they know something weird is coming. You can use that fill as kind of like a pivot point into new rhythms a lot of time. And like same with basses, you can use it to pivot into new bass lines, new different harmonics coming up. So I think that's a good way to do what Real's talking about there, is to use like rhythms in your fills as a way to switch rhythm. But going back to the questions, I think intentional phasing in the sound design, it's like the way to get this kind of sound. It's phasing is like key towards this. Whether you're using like a phaser, which is not what's happening here, like whether you're using like a frequency shifter on 50% wet and just like having it shift in one direction or another, whether you're having like, because all the phasing does is generate like a bunch of notch filters really. And like when you have this kind of sound, you really want all of that movement that the notch filters have. And phasing is a way to get a bunch of movement that you would never get if you were like individually going like, oh, we're going to put a notch. Because when you phase, you have like maybe 50 notch filters moving, and they might all be different depending on how the phasing is going. So it's really like the best way to get that kind of the sound of this style. I do agree with Real though. There's a few places where I noticed not even the phasing, but there's a couple spots where like the second harmonic was hitting as loud as the first harmonic, and I didn't even know if it was second. It looked like less than an octave away. It was like hitting, normally when you have like a fifth in the bass, it's like the second harmonic and then the fifth is after that. But this was like the fifth right above, like in the same register as the tonic. It looked that close. So I don't know what was going on there. But what Real said, like independent sub those parts. I go through with like a span open and look at if you have two peaks next to each other in the bass at any given point, make that an independent sub. Just to avoid that. Because it's hard to it gets really tedious to EQ that out, especially when you have a bunch of moving parts, because it's not like it's sitting on one note like a typical dub song. Any suggestions for keeping kick patterns and perk patterns interesting? Like Real said, I think there's enough going on in the basses and flows that you would rather have a stable kick pattern that gives you something to fuck with the entire song than try your best to have that interesting too. So you can like, I don't know, the way that I look at it is you want to have one element that's stable and pretty simple, not like simple as in it's not interesting, but you want to have one element that doesn't change enough so that the whole thing feels cohesive, unless you're like cooking on that Cohen sound vibe, which is really hard. And I think here, like the basses are moving enough and like the phrasing is complex enough that I'd rather just have like that stable kick snare going on to like give me something to keep my head bobbing to. And you can always play around with different stuff, like try the fill into new rhythm trick, but I don't think you need it. Like that's just I think if you're seeing the patterns as uninteresting from a listener's point of view, they sound really good, and I think it might just be like a producer has been sitting in the DAW listening to this kick and snare for like 5 hours making the song today, so they sound boring. Like I don't think there's actually a problem with them. Unsatisfied with the build-ups. I think the first build-up was good. We play like a bit of the second build-up though. Yeah. Maybe do like some ghost hits in the kick when you're building up, like not loud ghost hits, but like some little swingy, just volume, like gain down kick hits that can kind of help like guide the rhythm. I've noticed like a lot of good kick builds, because when you do like a pure kick build, it can get kind of boring. But I've noticed a lot of the good ones have more interesting rhythms than just like bup 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 bup. It's like a bup 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 or something like that. So I would just experiment with like different ghost hits to guide from one kick to the other in the build. That's all I gotta say though. Your turn, Mag. Do it.
Word. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. The big thing I noticed when it came to like, I agree with what you guys are saying about the phasing issues. The big thing I noticed especially was the saw. There's like these saw stabs, like really dry. So I can find it. Yeah, so those saw stabs just feel like empty in the low mids because of the phasing, in my opinion. Not just low mids, but even the lows, like the bass, compared to like everything else around it. And it just feels like weird from an energy level because they're just different energy levels. So I would say just focus on like that specific sound, especially. The second question, so like I agree with what all the gang members have been saying on this. I think another thing that was, I believe it was left out, and this is something that Frequent does a lot, Copycat does this a lot. They change the drums. They like literally use different samples. And I feel like that is like a really fun way to like create a feel of change without having to change too much. So like you can have a totally different level. I mean, I did that a little bit in my track later on, so if you're still here for that, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, Copycat does it a lot, Frequent does it a lot, and it sounds good in my opinion. It really adds to like the impact of what's happening, because you're like, oh wait, there's a bunch of new samples happening right now, this is dope. Another thing you can do as well is have a different kick, like two different kicks happening at the same time, not like the exact same time, but like during the same section. So your downbeat kick is like a really full spectrum loud kick, and then all of your other kicks are like very like doofy, like, you know, low frequency kicks that are just there to help like guide the rhythm a little bit. And I find that that also really helps when you're making swingy stuff, because you end up having like more defined sections, just because of the difference in drums. But yeah, so I would try that. Just try using different samples. But yeah, and not like different than the ones that you have, but like new ones periodically throughout the track. Because I do like the samples that you chose for this. They're good. I'm still quite unsatisfied with the buildups. Yeah, I think Percy like took the words out of my mouth there. Like, yeah, like more swing in the drums and you're good. Like the do 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 do, you know, like, and then you know, instead of like the, you know, constant 4 on the floor the whole way. Also, I would make them quieter and less low end, have less low end, and sidechain nothing. Like, don't have them sidechaining your song. Just like, if you are gonna sidechain them, make it like a really soft sidechain. Like, set up a separate sidechain for your build-up drums, if you really want them to sidechain. But honestly, I don't think that they need to be sidechained. And last but not least, this is the other thought that I had. Pitch them up as you're going up, you know, like have them pitch up in frequency, kind of build more tension that way. Because as you pitch it up, it also removes low frequencies. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Do you do that manually?
What? Do I do that manually?
Yeah, like how do you, because I've done that before, and if I use like the pitch shifter or Ableton shifter, it like, fucks them up really bad.
So this is what I do. I'll even open up Ableton. I'll quickly show you.
Kilohertz frequency shifter. Do you like
Nope.
40 hertz? What?
No, that's the one I've tried to use. It doesn't sound good. It like,
Or you can make a
stretches the
clip. You can make a clip out of it and do like a in the envelope for the clip.
So this
That's
is
a
what
good
I
thing
do
to do.
with my drums. So like kick, right? And it's a one shot. What I do is I just turn this little transposition knob up. I just automate that, and it works
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
It sounds awesome. But yeah, that's if you're in Ableton. But I'm sure there's other
Yeah.
ways in other DAWs too. But always try and do it from the sample level. Don't do it like with what they were telling you, because yeah, I have the same experience. It sounds like ass. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Schlep, that was cool. Amazing sample choice / like sound design. Like everything worked really well together.
Yeah, that
Which
went
is
hard.
nice. It's a nice gift. So thank you.
Oh, I was gonna say about the side chain. I like what Magduit said. You can have a different side chain, but one thing that I've liked to do is have a side chain hit every other kick on the 4 on the floor rhythm, and then have side chain completely off for the what's it called? Like all the ghost hits and that every other kick. So it's only hitting like the first kick has side chain enabled, like a kind of deep one. And the second kick doesn't, and then any ghost hits in between those don't have it. So it's only like the 1 and then the 3 and then the 5 would have side chain. So you have like that pumping as you're building in, which can be really nice if you have like a white noise riser to have that pump in the riser from the kick. But other than that, you wouldn't want to have it pumping, especially not on the ghost hits. That's I thought of that. I wanted to say it real quick.
Heck yeah. But yeah, that was a cool track. Thank you. Thank you, Schlepp. All right, next up, we're about to be daydreaming, but Poyo edition.
And it goes like and it goes like what the fuck? That was insane.
Dude, holy shit.
That was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so loud and so clean, which is the vibe. I guess I'll flex. Let's see here. Does the first drop feel empty? No. I feel like it's actually like good. Like I think it's minimal in a nice way. It lets you focus more on the timbre of the basses, which is nice. How do I use pitch map without everyone knowing I'm using pitch map? Is there anything similar? Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff like that. There's pitch map, chroma, retune, resonators, vocoders. All of those do the same kind of thing. The big thing that I've found is that whenever you're using, like, I think the best way to get unique sounding colory stuff is to use some level of FFT morphing with not colory stuff. So like if you take like a fully pitch mapped sample that you have and then use like either Melda morph or Synaptic morph or the Alexander Panos morph. Yeah, those are like the big three that I can think of right now. But yeah, if you use any of those, I think you'll find that the timbres still retain a lot of the coloriness, but then you have so much overlap with the other sound that it isn't like detectable. Like you don't know what made it colory. And it doesn't matter like what you're using. You could use like pitch map or chroma or whatever. Like it all all of it kind of masks all of that feeling. And then lastly, is anything overbearing in the mix? No, I don't think so. I think the one thing that I wanted was during the breakdown to have like a little bit more dynamics, like a little bit, like just a, give us like a teeny bit more, a little bit of a break there. But other than that, like, cause this breakdown is more of like what I was wanting from that initial first kind of area here. I forget this section here. I feel like you could get away with having a little bit more dynamics there for that build up, and then really making this second drop smack a little bit harder because of that. But that's about
I'll make it more mixable too, which is a big thing, I think.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. Take it away. Take it away, Percy.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think the first drop feels empty at all. Like, I think it feels like it fills the space perfectly. I mean, like, I don't know. It's the kind of genre where it's really hard to add more stuff to fill space. Like, if you have a minimal-ish drop, then I think it's best to just lean into that being the flow. I don't think that adding stuff is ever really the key in this genre. I don't know, that might be a hot take, but I prefer minimal flows than flows that just add a bunch of stuff to fill the space in this genre. Like, because the minimal flows they pop off, in my opinion, pretty heavily. How do I use pitch map without everybody knowing I'm using pitch map? Is there anything else similar? You kind of don't, beyond like what Magdo had said. I think the best way is to like layer stuff as well, and not just have like layer stuff with different varieties of processing, and that kind of helps make it one colorful mess instead of like a one layer of colored stuff. And I think that's like the key to all of the color-based stuff, is just good layering on top of like using new novel ways to generate like harmonic resonances, which like Magdo was going over. Like the Panos morph is really good. I think it's like Cepstral morph. That's what it's called? I think the Max for Live device that he sells.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty dope.
Oh, and there's
he has like a whole suite, right?
Yeah, I wanted to actually just quickly add there. I just thought of another morph that's not out yet, but it's going to be out soon. Ewan Bristow. If you guys don't know who that is, he makes a bunch of plug data stuff for free. He's dropping a morph plug data patch soon. Don't know when.
Yeah. And he already has a free one out too, so definitely pick that one up.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, Power Rangers vibe.
Is anything overbearing in the mix that needs immediate attention? The entire mix? No. I mean, it's loud. It's tear out. Shit fucks. I don't think anything stood out as being too much in the mix. It's just a loud mix, which you need for this genre. I think that the Reese fills were really loud, but I love that because I love Reese fills. I don't know if it stood out as too loud to anybody else. I noticed it was like pretty in your face, but I think that's how they're supposed to be. Like, that's the entire point. So not a complaint, more of like a yay respill. Anyways, what you got, Real?
I don't know, this was fire. Oh, okay, actually there's one thing that I didn't like so much in the first drop. First off, this was fucking amazing, and literally the only thing that stuck out as negative was there like one or two switches in the first drop. I don't know if you could maybe like remove the drums or something, because I couldn't tell it was a switch until you got like halfway through it, and you're like teasing new sounds. Like, all the sounds in here are so fucking cool. Maybe just like focus on the switches, on how you could introduce them a little bit more, not subtly, like the opposite of subtly, because I was trying to figure out what was going on for like half a second, and then I was like, oh, it's a switch. Yeah, the sound design was insane. First drop, no, it's not minimal. It's like, it's loud as fuck, and the sound is very full spectrum. So I think that it just worked super fucking well. It gave me like kind of like Lodian vibes, very very similar, which is like Lodian is one of my favorites. So that's always a good thing. I don't know what pitch map is. I wouldn't worry about everybody knowing, because like people that don't make music aren't gonna know, and that's your ideal audience. So don't worry too hard about that. If it sounds good, it sounds good. Nobody's really gonna know what it is except for other producers. I don't think anything was overbearing. It's like ridiculously loud. There's somehow still harmonic content, and it's not harsh, which is, I don't know. It checks all the boxes. This was really fucking cool. Even in the intro, I was like, the intro was so full. I was like, good luck topping that. And then you did it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This is a W. I really like this one. I think you should like clean it up. I don't know what you do to clean it up. It already is really clean, and then try to send it to a label.
Yeah.
It's just really nice.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear it live.
Yeah, Poyo's always just flexing. Always flexing hard, Poyo. Keep flexing, please. Don't stop. All right. Next up we got Wavetable. Dude, that's kind of a flexing name. How did you get Wavetable, bro? All right.
Just Wavetable
just
too, not like a not like Wavetable 1. It's
With
like
like a 3.
every Wavetable. Oh
a
my
3 instead of an E, you know?
And you
or
need a
3.
4 for the A, so it's all caps. A 1 for the L. We're cooking.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Just you wait. You're gonna be seeing a Wavetable pretty soon. Just
Yeah.
lots of numbers. But no.
XX Wavetable XX.
Yeah. No, that's what he did with the name.
Oh,
what
that's
the
so
name.
true.
Yeah. But yeah. Why don't you? I don't know why.
Just sick and tired. Just so many lies. Everybody just lies all the time.
You swear with running away. Why don't you say that you a liar and just leave him this way? You spend me day. You swear with running away. Why don't you say that you a liar and just leave him this way? You spend me day. You swear with running away. Why don't you say that you a liar and just leave him this way? You spend me. You spend me. You swear with running away. Why don't you say you swear with running away? Why don't you say you swear with running away? Why don't you You swear with running away. Why don't you say that you a liar and just leave him this way? You spend me day. You swear with running away. Why don't you say that you a liar and just leave him this way? You spend me day. You swear with running away. Why don't you say that you a liar and just leave him this way? You spend me. You spend me. You swear with running away. Why don't you say you swear with running away? Why don't you say you swear with running away?
Nice. That's cool.
Hell yeah. I guess I don't know who wants to kick us off, but I am writing
Okay.
more notes.
Okay. This whole idea is really cool. It just needs to be like cleaned up a little bit throughout. The I see the vision though. This is nice. So first thing that kind of struck me wrong was in the intro. The hats come in super loud. Just turn those down or low pass them a little bit. That's like a super simple fix. Throughout the whole song, the sub is being masked by the low mids. Like second and third harmonic are noticeably louder than the sub. I don't know if you're not independent subbing. I assume you're not. And you don't have to all the time, but I think you should probably do it with this song. Just like low pass your basses, add an independent sub, give it a little bit of distortion so the harmonics like kind of mesh in with the mid bass. If you really don't want an independent sub, I understand that because I really didn't like to do that for a while. I still try not to do it sometimes, but I'm getting a little bit more into it. Just frequency split your basses before you process them. If you're starting with like a weird wavetable though, you're not going to be able to do this because the sub is already going to be kind of wonky. So like just add a sign in and just frequency split and then do your processing in the upper end of the chain before you low pass it so that you're still distorting from the bottom. And then just like low pass the sub and then you should be fine. But like I said, I would independent sub it. It like sucks at first, but you get really fast at it and it helps you make your sounds more full. And just make sure like get like span or millimeters or something and look at your second and third harmonic and you don't ever want them as loud as the sub. Almost ever. There's exceptions, but like when you're doing sustains and stuff, especially if you're doing it throughout the song multiple times, you want them to be noticeably lower so that the sub has impact. And then also once you kind of tame those low mids, you'll notice stuff in the high end that was being masked before. So it's just low mids are kind of tricky. You'll get the feel for them though. Just know you want them lower than your sub. Maybe reference other tracks to see how much lower because it varies. Stereo image fit well. Yeah, I thought stereo image was nice. I'm not on headphones, but I'm pretty sensitive to when stuff is like aggressively panned. So it didn't seem like anything was panned too excessively. I crank my levels even harder. Does this track need that same statement? I wasn't here last week. I mean, yeah, you could make it louder. I think you're kind of new. It sounds really good. It needs to be polished, and I wouldn't worry too hard about loudness until you start to get your sound design and everything else like a lot more clean. Because it's hard to get a loud mix out of something that's not polished because the levels are all different. Just yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't worry too hard about that. I would focus a little bit more on sound design and like clean sub separation for impact. But yeah, everything else is really good. Melody was cool. Vocals are nice. Sound design is cool. It just needs, like I said, that polish. And yeah, this is a good track. Keep it up.
I actually kind of want to jump in because I want to disagree with Real like a little bit, not entirely, but like a little bit. I think you're right from the standpoint of like it doesn't matter as much as this at this point. But what I found, at least with my own journey of making louder music, is when you start to make your sounds louder, you'll observe things that don't work more easily. You'll be like, oh, this doesn't sound good loud. Like I need to focus on this sound, and like make it a little bit more polished or like fit better at that level, like Real was saying. So like I agree with Real like partially, but I also disagree partially. Like I do think that it's like definitely not the most important thing, but what I think is when you go and start making your tracks louder, you'll see what sticks out in a bad way more easily. It's like really obvious most of the time. So like, yeah, in this case, Real said it like, yeah, definitely add more dedicated sub. I know he brought up the hats in the intro, but I actually think that the kick was also not very loud in the drops. I think you could like make it a little bit louder and then even sidechain a little bit more aggressively. I also think that the vocals were a little bit too loud in the drops. I think that vocals can be forward, especially like one-liners or like, you know, fills. But I think that when you have like vocal chants and like more regular vocals, especially the chants though, the basses need to be like the star of the show in the drops. What I recommend is like checkerboarding, where you have like mainly basses happening and then the chants are like in the background, and then like you have a fill or you have a section without your basses happening, and then that's where you put in your like full spectrum vocals. I do that a lot in my tracks. In fact, the track that I put up tonight's like that. If you ever want to like see if you stick around, you'll see what it sounds like. But yeah, the idea here is like you want to give like both of those are very like lead elements, and you don't want them both to be happening at the same time. That's basically all I'm saying. And if I had to pick one or the other, I would pick the bass because it's bass music. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think the middle build up, as far as your first question, the middle build up was a little bit too long. I would like that whole breakdown, I think could be like half the size. And it would still feel just as good. The stereo image, I didn't see any issues with it. I thought it was fine. You could high pass your reverbs a little bit more, but that's probably about it. And then I think that you could do a little bit more with the vocal chant as well. Like, it says the same exact thing at the same exact volume with the same exact reverb, and like it's the same exact part of the word phrasing the whole time for both drops. I feel like you could pitch it around a little bit, maybe I don't know, add it, make it a different word for the second drop, like a different phrase. These are just thoughts, but I think that's a really easy way to like keep it interesting without having to do too much. And then, yeah, no, as far as your last question, I'm glad you cranked it because I can feel, yeah, you definitely experimented, which is good. You know, you tried some stuff. I would say some stuff worked and some stuff didn't. But as far as your mid-range and high frequencies on your basses, especially your mid basses, they're a lot clearer. And I think they do sound a lot nicer than the previous week. Now the key is to just focus on the cleanliness in the low end and the balancing of all the elements in your song. But those are just my thoughts. But yeah, Percy, you're up, bro.
Yeah, I think you guys covered a lot of it. I think the second transition was too long, like Magda had said. Stereo image fits well. Stereo image usually nothing stuck out, so it's good. It's one of those things to me, at least. Like especially in this stage, I would just like kind of polish it more. Like definitely with the lower harmonics, like Real said, would be the best thing. Real was talking about doing a dedicated sub, and there's one simple trick to make it a lot easier, and that's to group your mid bass. Like I do this anytime that I sound design now. I just group my mid bass and I make an instrument rack, make a new chain with what I'll call the dedicated sub. I put the pitch bends on both of them. Like I'll macro out the pitch bends to the same macro knob, and then I'll treat that as my pitch bending, like 99% of the time. Or I'll just use like the MIDI control pitch bend for both of them. And then you do not have to worry about because a big problem for me was that my dedicated sub would not have the movement that my mid bass had. So I just stopped doing pitch bending in individual synths, and I would just group them in the same rack. And then it's way less big of a deal. And then you can like process them together at the end of the chain, and it makes it feel less like a dedicated sub. It's just like a perfect sub underneath it. That's my big tip. I also put pitch envelope controls on both of them, so that you can like add pitch envelopes that will work on both. That means like put the decay, put the envelope amount, and then you just have all of your pitch controls globally between your mid bass and your regular sub bass. So I found that gave me a lot more leeway with my dedicated sub. Anyways, I think that you could probably crank the loudness up a little bit louder, but I think that you should do that, and like it'll probably expose more issues with the mix that are hard to determine when stuff isn't pushed. As well as like clearing up the low mids will probably what am I trying to say? Getting rid of some of the low mids and mids will also make your high end feel like it's coming through a bit more, so you might need to EQ, because it's already a little bit harsh to me. I don't know if it was just my ears. Like I've been listening to a lot of music today, so my ears are a little bit worn out. But I think that it'll probably need some more EQing once you do that. But anyways, that's all I got.
You said there is independent sub. So one thing that was making me think there was an independent sub was that the fundamental would be up around like 100 hertz, and that's too high for a dedicated sub. You want to stay from, if you're in Ableton, it's between D sharp 0 and A sharp 0. It's different, and FL. I know Magduit knows what it is, but it's really like 40 hertz to like 80 hertz or something like that. That's where you want your sub to be sitting. So there were times in there when it went up really high, you could have your independent sub down an octave of where the mid bass was hitting. And you can go out of that range. I wouldn't go below it pretty much ever because it's just gonna it's gonna fall through on sound systems. You can go above it, but if you want like a really big impactful sub, it's like 40 to 80 hertz.
Yeah.
So just like kind of see where times where you're going up like to around 100, add in a separate sign for down below so the bass still has impact.
Yeah. I was like, it really does depend on the genre too. Like, I have a song that I submitted that has an A0 fundamental on everything, or an A0 fundamental, and everything else is above that. But like, when you're making electronic music that's like supposed to be danceable, you want it to be heavier, and that means having a frequency range that's lower for your sub. What are you saying in chat? Didn't feel right. Yeah, it probably didn't feel right because the harmonics low key. Like those mid-range harmonics or like the low mid harmonics will absolutely cook your sub. Especially when it's low in volume like this one was in places. But anyways, that's all I gotta say. Thanks
Yeah.
for submitting.
Yeah, and in FL it should be the one, like it'd be 1 instead of 0. I think Ableton's the only one that does 0 like that. Actually, maybe Bitwig too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's weird because it's like standardized everywhere else. It's like an actual standard way to name your notes, and then Ableton is like, nah, let's index it from 0
yeah.
for whatever reason.
But no, I thought that was cool. I think mix wise you're improving, which is nice. So keep flexing. All right, next up we got Con Cow. Let's get it. Moo.
That was sick.
Short and
Oh,
sweet.
nice.
I feel like this is a different Concow.
Facts.
Is
I think-
it
I
anybody
think
else
it's-
want to go first, or can I?
You go. Go, Percy. Flex.
All right. So, are the drums drumming? They're drumming, but I think you could add Foley sweeps into the snare. I'm not sure if that was happening, but I think like more uh present Foley sweeps into the snare, like Mr. Bill Foley pack, go to the nature pack, go to the brushy brushes and put like a different brushy brush before every snare. And then also, I don't think you should switch your snare, but I think you should layer your snare more with like maybe a more Foley one and have that Foley change every hit, or like just a different snare. I liked it a lot, but I think that elevates the style of tune a lot, especially if you like reverb that different snare on every hit, because then it kind of accents, or not even every hit, you could like reverb every other one, but I think that kind of accents like the snare switch, which always sounds nice, and it also fills up space nicely. Otherwise, I liked it a lot. All of the like background little drum fills and like rhythms that you threw in were really good. How's the processing on the bass? I think it sounds really good, except for a couple times where the like mid harmonic got too loud for me. Like it would, there were a few times where I think it was the fifth, or it was like, it was either the third harmonic, which would be the fifth, or the fourth harmonic, which would be the octave, not the
Yeah,
bad.
it was third.
Okay, it was third. That third harmonic got louder than the sub at a lot of points, and I don't know if it was like if you're using a dedicated sub, it looked like an envelope was on the sub that wasn't on the mid bass. So as you open the mid bass, the sub would be going down in volume, and the peak of the mid bass would go over it. And it might just be that you're processing that mid harmonic up too loud. So I would use like a like a parametric EQ of some sort to like dynamically squash that peak a little bit as it comes up. But other than that, I really like the timbre. It was just getting a bit too loud for me. Add some elements or take them away based on what I heard. I think throwing in like a little main lead could be cool. Not like a super super present one, but one that just kind of pops in every once in a while and does like a little slidey, like not. I wouldn't do a bunch of like motifs either. Like probably just a scale wise. Like I'm hearing like downwards movement
That's
with like some cool rhythm, but not like
sometimes
I don't know.
Sometimes I wonder if Percy just reads my mind. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we kind of we do cook
We
a
do
little
that
bit.
sometimes. All right,
But I would like filter in a little slidey lead going downwards and have it be like a whole note and then like a half note into another whole note just every once in a while, and like filter sweep it in so that middle note that's the half note is like the peak of the low pass filter, and then put like a big delay over top of it, and that should be good. But otherwise, that's about it.
Real, you can go next if you want. I'm chill.
Okay. Yeah, this is, I don't know. Bro really makes music for really good sounding sound systems.
Yeah.
Like I know this would be really nice on like a really, really proper stack. Yeah, and I don't know, in terms of I was looking at the third harmonic too. I think the rules kind of change a little bit when the focus of the song becomes those harmonics. Like typically when we're addressing like second harmonic, third harmonic problems, it's like in a dubstep track where the mid bass has a bunch of high end content. But I've learned how good those can sound if they're like the main focus of the song. And I don't really know, you like Konka, I know you know more than we do about making songs built for like low end focus systems. So I'm not gonna question that because it did get loud, but it sounded really good. And like the harmonic play between like the bass and the melody, it was like hitting this beautiful chord. It sounded so fucking nice. And the way the sub just kind of like faded in and out, like pulsed, was just really cool. Yeah, drums are drumming. I think the pattern sounded good. It was refreshing is the right word. Processing on the bass, it was nice. It was super nice. It was subtle, but it kept changing too. But it was, I don't know if you're like band passing and doing like little amounts of distortion, but it sounded so fucking good. A lot of filtering. Yeah, it sounded good. Keep doing that. Honestly, I wanted this to be like 5 minutes long. I think you should add elements as you build. Like I think this is perfect how it is, but I was hearing like this could be just a really long, big climax. Where you could bring in, I was hearing like a screechy harmonic reverb bass that would come in as like a fill or something. That's just what was in my head. Sometimes I might make things all trippy and forget to throw in a main lead. Yeah, I mean that's okay sometimes. I mean a lead's not gonna hurt, like Percy touched on that, but I don't know. The low end just sounded phenomenal. Yeah, I don't know, just keep building this out. This is a really cool song.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, this was cool. I think the one drum related thing that was really wacky to me was this first kick. I don't know, it just felt so unnecessary. Like it's just like, hang on, I gotta find it. Where is it? Because it had me so put like just That kick. Oh, of course, it's the big line. You can even tell. Like, look at it. It just feels like I don't think you need it. Honestly, I don't think it. You could just remove that, and I think that everything else would be fine. All the other drums were great. I just felt that one kick just was like, oh, ah. It's like,
Turn into like a sub drop.
yeah. I think it would be better if it was a little bit more legato and less staccato in terms of low end frequency content, because it definitely felt like a jump scare, and it's such a like calm, like ethereal vibe, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah. How's the processing on the bass? I'm kind of I get what you're saying, Real, on the fact that it can be good, but I still just think it's ringing out so loud. That second or third harmonic rather is just like, it's so resonant that I don't know if I'm a big fan of it personally. But yeah, I don't know.
On the systems that he's going for, like you said, a properly tuned system. On a properly tuned system, that's going to be even more resonant too, Real. You got to think about it. Like on a system that's good for that mid bass stuff, that's going to be even worse than it is on our headphones.
It's just so
I don't
resonant.
know. I've heard some really loud low mids like that through a really good low end focus stack, and it surprised me with how good it sounded.
Yeah, but were they peaking louder than the sub? Is my question. Like I would have to look at those songs, because I don't think I agree with you that having it be higher like that, and maybe even like 3/4 of the volume of the sub, but I don't think having it at the same or higher volume than the fundamental is a good play ever.
Yeah, like, hey, let's just let me find it. Like, that one isn't bad, but there's one in here that I was just like,
There's one where it just kept rising above the sub harmonic. I was like, whoa.
I don't know, it just feels so, I don't know. It just feels like different. I think it's because it's a really big change in energy level from the rest of the song, and that's why I don't like it. I don't think it's actually the fact that it's peaking or anything like that. It's just nothing else is like that in the song, so it's kind of like another jump scare moment. Honestly, it's like the same feeling I got with this kick, the same exact feeling. It's like, oh, there's a harmonic there, and then it's gone, you know. So either make the song more of that, or just take that one thing out, and then everything will work together.
This song is like a horror movie for you, Matt.
Yeah,
Good
dude.
G.
Well, like I'm trying to get into like because it is super like ethereal and calm, and then there's these moments that like pull me out of that feeling. So I don't know if that's what you want to do or not, but I am not personally a fan. Yeah, let's see, what else did I say here? Oh, I feel like the drums could be like a little bit spicier. Whether you want to do that with volume, like make them a little bit louder that way, or maybe some saturation on the drum bus, or glue compressor, or all of the above. I don't know. Like, I feel like the drums feel a little bit weaker than the main elements, especially the mid bass that you have going here. So I would say like giving them a little bit more sauce could be nice. And then your last question, I think I covered the first two. Let's see, drums, yeah, bass processing, and then your last question. So I basically just had the same exact mindset as Percy. Like, definitely would be cool just having a nice little like minimal pluck, like do 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 do, and then just, you know, like just into reverb or something, you know, something like that. I think it'd be cool. I'm sure all of those notes were off key, but I think you get the idea.
Carl's the first style pluck. Trust me.
Yes. Oh,
That
yes.
would be like,
that's-
that would go so hard here.
Yeah.
Just a sine wave.
Yep.
Yep. But other than that, yeah, dude, this is crazy. You are really good at building atmospheric spaces that are quite nice to sit in and just hang out for a while, which I know I'm not very good at that, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. Keep flexing, Concal. That was dope. I did answer everything, right? Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Yeah, thank you, Concal. That's dope. More of this too, by the way. That's short. 2 minutes isn't enough. The people want more. The people want more. Lightbringer remix. Dang. That guy has a space helmet on. And he has a
He's the
sword.
Lightbringer, Bo.
That's-
That fits so well.
That is a spicy picture. All right.
Lightbringer goes hard too.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right, let's get it.
Nice. That's cool.
Hell yeah.
Color base.
Color BS. All right, is it? I think it's my turn. My turn. to
Yeah,
go?
go first.
So, yeah. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I was not disliking it, but I was not. There were a couple things I was like, I don't know. So the first, let me just answer your questions first. So does the interplay between the melodic elements and bass line create the uplifting yet heavy vibe I am aiming for? I feel like arrangement wise, you're fine in that regard, but I feel like mix wise, you lose the interplay because of how you've mixed and mastered this. So like I can tell from like the producer in me, like I can tell that there's definitely timbral differences between all of the different like sounds that you've created here. But because it's so slammed, everything starts to sound the same timbrally. And I think because of that, you lose the back and forth, like the call and responsing of everything. Like you lose a lot of that because it's so slammed, because everything just sounds the same timbrally. So what I would recommend is one of two things. You could slam it a little bit less, or you could set up two different, like, I guess lanes, or not even lanes, but like mix paths. I don't know if you're on FL Studio or Ableton or what. Set up two different like places where your basses go, and have one set of them be processed a certain way and the other set be processed a little bit different. And that way you can be like very intentional with the call and response. Okay, yeah, Ableton, perfect. So yeah, you can just have 2 tracks and like or groups even, and then in each of those groups just have the timbral I guess decisions be different. That way you can have like different types of distortion or different types of reverb or roomness or flanging or whatever, right? Like obviously I think the big thing would be distortion. And then I would slam it a little bit less. So like what I would do is slam the track a little bit less and then slam the basses a little bit more, just in different ways. I think that the transitions were quite nice. I do think that they could be a little bit spicier. So like during some of these kind of like, I don't know if they're called fills. Yeah, I mean like, and yeah, I was just gonna answer your question because I saw, or answer your comment there. Yeah, it's one of those things where like it is a little bit too slammed, and I am okay with slamming music. I do it a lot, but the thing is to have enough dynamics to where people can still tell like what is what, so that way you can still feel the differences between each of the sounds. Because yeah, like literally all of the sounds sounded identical. Like it all had that same like slammed high end. So it all just felt the same. It felt like I was just listening to like white noise for 3 minutes, at least in the top end. Like I could still feel that there was stuff happening, but it was like just the same curve of stuff. But yeah, the transitions I thought were good. I just feel like you could get away with like a little bit more stuff happening. So like even with these little breaks, like those little breaks, I think having a reverb into that, like a reverse reverb into that, and then like, I don't know, a cymbal or a crash or something, like underneath the main lead would be really nice, just to give people like a little bit of something to go with like such a loud sound. Even putting reverb on that sound, something to like give a little bit more atmosphere during those sections could be really nice. Let's see. And the main lead, I thought that this question, yeah, I think that it's fine. Like the motif worked. I think everything worked together nicely in that regard. Like I don't have any complaints with regards to that. There's one motif that I think you could go a little bit deeper with, and that was the first kind of main like chugging bass, like that one, the do 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 do. I think that timbre could change each time. That would be really nice to kind of like add a little bit more depth and variability to those sections, because it's usually not too difficult. If you're in a synth, just do a couple little tweaks to each one of those 3 hits, little triplet hits. And I mean that like keep each triplet section the same. So you could do like do 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 do, and then maybe like the next time you do the do 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 do, you could have that one be like a different timbre, and I think that would really help the progression, especially so early on in the track. And yeah, let me see if I had anything else I wanted to talk about. I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, I think that like the big thing you got to look out for when you slam tracks, just because like I love clipping the shit out of like music, just be very conscious of the pain zone, you know, that like 3K, 5K, 8K. Be very conscious of that, because like you can get away with like a little bit of that, but if you have too much of that, it ends up being like, I didn't mean to be offensive, by the way. It's just the way that I perceive it is like this constant white noise throughout the whole song. And it just ends up feeling like too stable, like too similar. And I think like even with the transitions, during transitions, and I said this for Poyo's track too, you can add dynamics there. You know, like there's nothing wrong with making your transitions like a little bit quieter, so that way your transitions will be like kind of a break, so that when you return to the main drop sections, it's like just as intense or just as impactful. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had to say. Yeah, another idea for the transitions was maybe like white noise risers, just like simple white noise riser, just like, you know, classic. That is extra classic. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So, what do you all think?
I'll go. Yeah. I think stressing the slamming is super important because there's a really good song here, and it's just like hiding behind a wall of just like noise in the high end. I think the motifs all worked really well. Call response is really cool. Like it's a really good song. It's just like I don't know if you did it on the master or if you pushed the sounds too hard or if you like compressed a bunch of reverb, but it's literally like the song is hiding behind a wall of like noise and mud. So just like dial back the distortion and the compression or however that's being created. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I think the uplifting heavy vibe was established for sure. The only part I kind of got lost in the second half of the second drop. It just kind of because you like fully cut out parts at times, and it just was a little bit jarring. Whereas like the first drop, everything flowed really, really well. To the transitions, yeah, I think the transitions are good. I mean, Magdo said white noise riser effect. That's pretty common in this genre and can never hurt. Like even just like layering it under stuff, never just do straight white noise riser.
Yeah, do gay night white noise risers.
Is the main motif memorable? Yeah, definitely. I really think you nailed it with the first drop. But yeah, it was just a lot too slammed. But that's an easy fix. Like you just got to dial stuff back a little bit, and it's really not worth like losing clarity for loudness. Oh, also I wrote this down. At a minute and 20 seconds, yeah, there's a little bit too much going on. I feel like in the high end, there's like 4 layers going at once. Or it sounded like there were at least. So you could like strip one of those back, or maybe honestly, when you kind of dial back how hard it's being slammed, those layers might be able to shine individually. But yeah, it's like they're all there, but they're all kind of being smushed into this one thing where it's hard to tell the difference between them, like Magdo has said. But yeah, I don't know. That's the main thing for me. Once you dial that back, I think this is gonna be a really good song. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. All right. So I think your questions have been answered pretty substantially by Magduid and Real. But I don't know. I feel like there was a lot going on in the second drop at like 207 on that kind of made me it was weird. Like the first flow that happened at 207 really kept me going, and then it transferred away from that flow and then transferred away from that flow. And I think you could stick to the motif that you introduced in the second drop and like keep that first motif going the whole length and kind of cook on it instead of just changing it so much, and that would make this because it was like I really got into it and then it really did change. That's kind of not in the questions, but I just wanted to. I mean, it kind of answers 3 with the main motif there. Other than that, I really do think that a lot of the noise that y'all are referring to could be from like the fact that it's a remix and like it's a fully processed song. So I think like if you have something like Unveil or something to kind of peel it back and make I don't know if you're like stemming stuff out by yourself or how you're remixing it, like if you're using like an AI stem tool or whatever. But if you could make your layers cleaner from the song that you're remixing, or like find a way to maybe turn them down a little bit and mix them into your elements, it would go a long way. Because I've run into this with remixes a lot. Like it just gets too loud too fast because you're adding stuff into an already completely maximized song a lot of the time. So you oftentimes have to turn down the song that you're remixing and like a lot of the elements to give yourself headroom to do more, is what I've noticed. But other than that, I don't really have a lot to say that hasn't been covered. I would just be going over what Magda and Real said. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes because I think there's a lot of potential. It's just masked with some of the noise and like distortion right now. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Fire track though. I think the arrangement's on point for, in my opinion. It's just the mix was like hiding it. I think Real hit the nail on the head with his comment there. But anyway, speak of the devil himself.
Ew.
Look at him.
Don't
him. Turn
your camera off now. Turn it back on, Real.
Yeah, dude, we got to see you headbang.
Yeah.
On track.
You can't see me listen to my own song.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I want to see you like if you have a rail in your room somewhere, you should hop on that, and if not,
Actually,
you
I
need to
just
buy
got one
one.
installed yesterday.
Perfect. Just start, like getting it, Anyway.
Yeah, get into it real.
Yeah. All right. Emanate.
All I ever all I ever do, 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 all I ever do is boom back, boom back, boom back, boom back.
Dope.
This guy's crazy. This guy's actually crazy.
Where are the questions in the SoundCloud? Or are
Yes.
they in the...
Yeah, they're in
Okay.
the. I'm sorry, no, they're not in the SoundCloud. They're in the. Hang on, I'll copy paste them.
Yeah, they're in Discord. My bad.
I'll go first. since
SMH real.
I knew what he wanted to know while I was listening.
Hearing that after the SoundCloud compression and then through the Discord stream was pretty painful.
Yeah.
Hey,
it
can I
sucks,
say
dude.
one
No, I'm
thing
just
before you
kidding.
go, Mag? Do it. I have one thing to say, and if you cover it, I want to say it first, so
Oh,
you don't
okay.
cover it.
Okay.
Okay, real. I think you could. The call base feels wonky. I think having like a higher up call base and then a lower response base feels weird in this scenario. I think you could use like a more like the higher harmonic down to lower harmonic bases feels wonky in call and response. That's just me. That's all I wanted to say. I'll say more about it when it's my turn.
Word. Yeah, it's funny. I did not even come close to that. So yeah.
Okay.
So how are the processing on the two bases? I actually liked the processing a lot. I thought that you could get away with a little bit more sub, at least with the balance between the two. I think that there's like not quite as much low end, specifically like the sub, and I think it's just because you have that second harmonic in the low mids. So maybe it's not that you need more sub, but a little bit less low mid harmonic. Like not a lot, but just like enough to like let the sub poke out a little bit more. I think that the intro section with drums was danceable, and I think it does set up for the drop nicely. So I think you did good there. Is the side chaining? This is an interesting question. I think the answer is maybe, which is probably not what you want to hear. It definitely works with the kick. I think the kick sounded nice. I didn't have any issues with the kick. The snare felt kind of buried, especially in the drops. I think that the way you could deal with that is just boost the highs a little bit, the frequency, like with an EQ, just like slam it a little bit more, make it poke out. And then because you're doing that in the drops, what I would say is during your breakdown section that you kind of teased at here at the end, I would put a different snare. I would just go the copycat route and just put in a different snare there and just like maybe like a shorter snare. It's a little bit less doofy, a little bit more like snappier, like almost a clap snare kind of a thing. And then sending it out as a collab, should you do anything else? I feel like if you do, whoever you're collabing with is going to be like, what do I do here, man? Like, how can I improve this banger? So yeah, no, I think that other than my snare comments and maybe the sub, that's like all I really felt was not quite where I wanted it to be. Hang on, let me see one more thing. The one other thing I'm on the fence about is the mid like tremoloed choiry synth thing. I think it's like a little loud. Like just a little bit loud. Not like super loud, but just like, and maybe it's not even that it's too loud, it's just like taking up too much of the frequency spectrum.
Yeah, it's low, and I try to EQ the lows out. Maybe I'll cut it a little bit harder.
Just do like one of these shapes here. I know I'm in Bitwig, blasphemy. Do one of these shapes. Here, let me just pull up an EQ. Why is EQ not popping up? It's crazy. Oh, there we go. All right. Can you see this? Yeah, let me just do this. Oh, wrong thing. Oh no. Everything is going south. Okay, here we go. Just do one of these, you know? A little bit of that, I think, is really all it needs. But that's my opinion. Like somewhere in there, of course, maybe like not right there, but you know what I mean. Just try and find like the fundamentally sort of area for it and then just reduce it. But yeah, other than that, I think that was really nice. I think that you're refining the timbre of your basses because you definitely have a very specific style with your like chordal basses. Like, I don't know, it feels chordal, but it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's very full, very interesting, and very nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you.
So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think the sustain basses are cracked. This is definitely like, I don't know if I'd call it the best iteration because you have some songs that I feel like are completely polished. Like this one sounds good, but like Mac Miller flip goes hard. Anyways, I think this is like Magda had said, you've really honed in on your sound with these basses. I think it's like the perfect amount of all the frequencies, probably. Dino's talking about way more ring mod, so I guess Dino says that. But personally, I liked it. The intro section, I think it was danceable. Yeah, it got my head bopping. It set up well for the drop. I really like how you tease the like tremoloed high end melody that comes in the drop too. I feel like it glued everything together really nicely. I think I might be wrong. I don't know if you switch up that pattern a lot, but I think you could do like just a little variation on the melody that could go hard. But I don't think that's needed. It could just be like a nice background effect. Or even have it do like little chords on the very high end. I don't know if you have it. Is it monophonic right now, or does it do multiple notes at once?
It's doing multiple. It's like it started as like a melody. It's a sine pluck, and then I just auto panned it, and then I tried to take it out and add something else in, but nothing sounded right, so I just kind of left it.
Yeah. You can maybe like change the colors that it does, like not colors in like a timbral sense, but like colors in terms of harmony, what it does over the underlying harmony, just for a couple sections. Not in like a it sounds bad way, but just like a hey, this can be nice to the ears as like an ear candy thing. But
No,
I didn't dislike it. That's just what I thought. I was playing around with like Cook on the like 7th and 6th, I guess. Those sound nice over a lot of stuff. Sending us out for a collab. Even in this state, I think it would be hard to find a lot to do in the existing sections collab wise. I think it probably Dino, you need to cease with the RM comments. Jeez. RM would fix the harmony apparently, but I think it probably will just end up being a situation where like your collaborator just ends up doing a second drop that sounds like noticeably different. Like, you know how LS Stream does his collabs and like there'll be one drop that's substantially LS Stream and then there's another one that's like, that's probably how this is going to go, which isn't a bad thing. You'll get all those comments that are like, oh my God, I can hear the real right here. And like, oh my God, I could hear the other collaborator right here. So Nothing wrong with that. But I don't know. And I think that's probably the best way to do collaboration unless you're like in a studio together because it allows the most finished ideas from both parties if you're not
Mhm.
able to like Dino. Um but yeah, that's not a complaint or anything. I just think that's how it's going to go.
Mhm.
It could just be a me thing with the call and response, but I feel like the call base just feels a little wonky. I feel like a neuro call would go better there just because it has like that low mids and then it goes into the harmonic that would be like right now it feels like the call base is like up here and then it goes down when normally when I hear call and response it's cooler to have it like down here and then go up for the response. But that might just be an aesthetic thing that I like, so I don't know. Maybe play around with it, but don't take my advice with a grain of salt. Otherwise, this fucked. I liked it a lot. I headbanged. It made my headphones fall off.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate you guys.
Oh yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, Reels flexing. Jeez. Now everyone else has to like meet that. Okay, here we go. Oh,
Yep.
I have to reload this. Hang on a second. All right, Winter's Lament.
Lament.
You
Word.
so high, pretty color show. But seeds I know that goes to hell. You're like a snake just spitting poison. It's not her fault that you're a monster. You're like a snake just spitting.
Well,
Fire.
yeah.
Nice.
If the motif is stuck in your head, that's how you know it's a good motif. You know.
This is true.
All right. Well, who wants to go first?
Real, it's your turn to
Yeah.
go first.
We just talked a bunch.
go.
Yeah.
Where's the question?
Oh, sorry. They're in the Discord.
It's okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Um.
send them.
Oh, I found him. Like that if its name could help me inspire the future sound design setup as well. I don't know. I always okay. So with titles, a lot of times I feel like for some of my better songs, I pick the title first, and I have this like idea in mind, like an abstract idea, and I end up sound designing and arranging around that idea. Like I used to do like space a lot or like a star, and then I would name the song something star related. I have a really hard time picking titles for the song after I've made them. I'll just sit there and listen to it and try to think of what it makes me think of. Most of the time I end up settling for something I didn't really like that much. But I don't know. I think the name as it is cool because as Percy said, it's like a reference to classical music. I know you know more music theory than all of us in here, so I'm surprised that like first chord or two are like pretty dissonant, and it's cool, but it's almost off-putting a little bit. It's different though, so and I think you're trying to do something a little bit different and like play with dissonance, which can be really cool. And as the song went on, I started to like it more and more, but just like immediately at the beginning of the drop, I was like, whoa, that's a little bit dissonant. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me. Vocals are no in second half of drop. Yeah, vocals. You have room for them. Might as well. And they complement the song well. Is the mix too pushed? I don't think so. I think you used to squash stuff pretty hard, and now it's all your stuff's been pretty clean. No, I have no complaint on like how pushed or squashed it is. don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this. It's some of the more simple stuff I've heard from you, but that's not a bad thing at all. I think simplifying stuff can be good. I've been trying to do that a lot myself because people don't really want to hear a bunch of just like crazy boundary pushing stuff or like you go on some crazy sound design tangent. They just want something they can dance to and it's digestible. I think he kind of
Yeah.
nailed it with this. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. It's a good track.
I think especially when you have like stuff that's more dissonant harmonically or like harmonically interesting, it's good to keep other elements simple. Because it's like I said this about a track earlier. I think you like to have one element, like whether it's theory wise, like harmony, or like whether it's a funky melody, or whether it's like crazy cracked out drums. You want to have like one element that's complex, and then you want to have most of the other elements be simple so that the ear latches onto the complex thing, and then the rest is there to guide it along. Is like my general paradigm when it comes to this stuff. And I think you nailed it pretty much here. Um, Vocals, yes, and second half a drop. There's no reason not to have them. Like you could do something weird with them, like maybe chop them up more, do like some interesting processing, but I don't even think you need to do that really. Um, like a title that fits the theme. Real's idea is best. I think it's good to use a title as a way to help guide your theme writing from the start. So it's kind of hard to do after the fact, like Real said. I think and another thing is that really only the people that make the song care about whether the title fits the song. So I mean it's cool when like the song name feel you see the song name and you're like, fuck, that fits so well. But I also think that like there's plenty of songs where the title has nothing to do with the actual music that's going on. So, oh, you made the song around the title, then leave it. I don't think the title doesn't fit or anything. I think it chills there. I don't think it's a bad title, but I don't think I think the hyperfixation with the song title as an artist is like because we want everything to be perfect and like we think that everybody else is gonna focus on the title as much as we do, and it's like the people don't do that as much as we do as the people that make the music. Um, Same thing with like album covers. I try and find like make the perfect album cover and like as long as it looks decent, then people don't really care. The mix is not too push for the style. I think it's perfect actually. Just cause like I don't know. It's not super squashed. It still has dynamics, but it's loud, which is like everything you want in this style. Other than that, it's about all I gotta say. I'm excited to see like where you go with it. Mag, do it. Hats off to you.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, as for the questions. Yeah, I mean, if you already kind of came up with the name ahead of time, I would say just run with it. But if you're still curious about names, whenever there's vocals in a song, my opinion is just take a phrase from the vocal and then put it in the title and then boom, banger alert, like 100% of the time. Swear to God, every time that works. Vocals are known in the second half of the drop. I think that more vocals is nice always if you already have them in the song. But as I was saying earlier, I think it's important to like checkerboard them. So like if you are doing vocal stuff, I would like do it during like a turnaround point or during a section where you're expecting there to not be this main kind of lead bass happening. Just because it's really hard to layer all that stuff on top of something that's already as full as it is. And then is the mix too pushed for this style? I don't think the mix is too pushed. I think that it's quite nice. I do think that the one thing you might want to look out for is the low mids of your main bass thing overlapping with the kick. I feel like it's stealing the thunder of the kick. You know, it's stealing the low mid low sauce of the kick drum. It's like making it feel less impactful than I don't know, than like everything else during that point where like I feel like you could high pass just those sections a little bit more and get the kick to like stand out a little bit more, which I think would actually make those moments feel more impactful. And I'm kind of in the same boat that Real is in. I think Real was talking about this earlier where like the dissonance in the bass, I don't know if I like it. I would say that I'm not like Yeah, just when the kick hits. Kind of, you could even set up a sidechain, like if you have Kickstart. I'll just quickly open this. If you have Kickstart, this is basically what I'm saying. You can do this with other sidechaining software as well, but you basically like set your kick, sidechain wherever, right? And then there's like band splitting, so that way it's like just cutting out the low end frequencies and then leaving like the high mids alone. I find that works quite well when you're doing these kinds of like impacts where you have the kick happening with like mid bass or other elements, but you don't want to like get rid of those. You still want them to be there, but still feel like impactful. It's just really important that like the low end of the kick feels like really clean, in my opinion, on like any song that's bass music. I think that just sounds really nice. And then that, like I was saying, the dissonance, I'm personally not a fan. I think if you mixed it a little bit differently, you might be able to get away with it. Like get rid of more low mids, get rid of a little bit more mid-range stuff. I think if you did that, it might work out. Like, let me see if I can find the picture. Where is it? The picture, this shape. Just kind of do like that shape for your basses more. And I think that you will end up with a little bit cleaner mix with that type of dissonance, which will make it, I think, work nicer. And then maybe I'll be down with it. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so yeah, those are my thoughts.
Can I pop in and say, I think the dissonance is like, maybe the dissonance itself isn't the problem, but the dissonance between, so like in classical, when you have dissonance, there's actually different rules for what you can include as a dissonance based on whether it's between the lowest voices or higher up voices. So I think the dissonance problem could be resolved if you moved the dissonance in like the dissonant voice up and up so that it's not between the bass and the lowest voice. And then that kind of solves the issue, because like in classical, for example, you can't have a fourth between the bass and your lowest voice above that, but you can have a fourth between a middle voice and the voice above that, because the dissonance in like the lower register breaks the fundamental of the sound. Not like in not in a sound design sense, but in like a fundamental, it makes things feel too unstable. So I think just like moving that up in terms of like the voices of your chords could do a lot for making the dissonance feel less bad. Not that I think it's super bad, but if that's the general reaction, then I think just moving it up in voices could do wonders.
Facts. Yeah, it's kind of like that thing where, yeah, if you play two notes together way down at the end of the piano on the low end, it just sounds kind of eh.
Yeah.
And if you do it further
It's like
up,
if you had
fine.
It's like voicing a dominant chord, having it be like G, D, or like G, then a D, which is like a fifth, and then like an F, which would be a minor third, or a major third, no, minor third, and then like your B on top of that. You have the dissonance at the very top, which feels like a color, whereas if you voiced it like B, and then F, and then D, and then G, you have that dissonance at the very bottom, so it really just feels like an accident, is what it is. So just like play around with that.
But yeah, very spicy. Very spicy indeed. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to say? I just want to make sure. I thought that was cool. Very cool song. Very fun. Oh, look who's next. This guy. Things work out. What a positive outlook. What a vibe. All right, let's get into this.
Fire.
The people want more. Yeah, dude, that's like it's giving off volume vibes, but like obviously your own kind of like style. but like I guess it's just the jazziness of the chords and the voicings of everything. He's
Yeah,
getting in there.
the minor turnaround. It gives it that jazz.
He's getting in there with the old progressions. Do you want to go first, Real, or should I? It's up to you, bro.
Yeah, I'll go. I feel like the mix is off. No, the mix is fine. I told you this before. It sounds good. The mix
Dude, I'm so
is
insecure about it.
Yeah, mix is fire. Did you fix the sidechain?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounded too deep last time I heard it. I don't know. Maybe it's the same, and I'm just because I'm listening to it louder now. I didn't notice it as much though. The flow work in the second half, the drop loses. It's a weirdest breakish. No, I honestly like the flow in the second half more than the first half.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Is
they
that, like,
they
do you think
complement
I
each
need to change the they complement, or do you think I need to change the first halves?
No, they complement each other well. One thing I felt like in the beginning of the first half, there was a little bit busy with the kicks, but the kicks are like driving the rest of the rhythm, so it does make sense. It's just really fast.
Yeah, I could take away. There's like a bunch
you
of
have, like,
ghost hits that I could take away
Yeah,
in like the
maybe-
first repetition of the kicks.
Yeah, maybe take out one or two of them, see what it sounds like. Just because it's hard to like I could imagine being on like a stimulant and like really going to this, but you have to move really fast to keep up with the kicks.
Yeah. So maybe like let the listener catch the rhythm before adding more ghost hits. That can be
Yes.
a vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Baseline second half suck. I feel like it might suck. No, it doesn't suck. The third harmonic is pretty loud. It's like loud to the point where you can hear it like pretty loud. And I don't know. Yeah, you make really good 808s. But it's just like considering how much high end there is, it felt a little bit pushed. Like maybe you could
Yeah.
duck it down a little bit. So it's
Okay.
more like supporting the sub than being its own thing.
Did you notice that in the first drop? Because it's the same
Oh.
harmonics as in the first, or the first half. So maybe I just need to like make a second patch for that part and make like a slightly different patch for it because it goes to a lot of higher notes there too. Like it slides up to an E1 or whatever. So maybe changing it
In
for
the
that
second half?
hit. Yeah. So maybe changing it just for that
Yeah,
hit
that's
would
what I
also be a good move. Thanks.
Yeah, because I didn't really notice it in the first half, and then I noticed it in the second half, and I was like, shit, it might have been there the whole time. But yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I don't know. This is nice. You said you have an idea now for the second half. I'm excited to
Yeah.
hear the
I want to
second
go
half.
about that. Do you think like I want to go halftime for the second half and do like
Yeah.
maybe okay. I feel like that's the vibe here, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I agree. The sound design is really cool. You've been cooking on a lot of really cool sound design, and the harmony's super cool too. Drum selection's nice. I like how you this might have been like psychoacoustic, but it sounded like you changed the pitch of the snare at one point in this like lead out, and that just sounded super fucking nice.
It's probably psychoacoustic, but hey, it's a
You should have just said, "Yeah, of course I did."
no. It was actually
Yeah, no,
intentional psychoacoustic behavior. I'm just a mathematician over here.
Yeah,
Heck
I
yeah.
don't have anything else. This is really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually disagree with Real's opinion of the first thing. All right, I think that it's a little bit too bass focused, like sub focused. I think that either you should bring up the mids and highs like a little bit more, or bring down the sub a little bit and then like boost everything a little bit more. That is my thought process. I think it's also just because there's a lot of kicks happening too. So like it stacking up with the sub, it just feels like all of the energy is down there. And like, I think that there should be a little bit more energy in the mids and highs, especially considering how much like chordal, motif related things are there. But yeah, that's my thought. I think that it's like really more or less a balance thing though, not like any one instrument sticking out.
I'm
But
kind
yeah.
of glad that you said that low key because that's what I feel like. I feel like the sub end is absorbing a lot of the mids and highs.
Yeah.
And I kind of played around with it a little bit, but I wasn't. I decided not to put that render out because it's not polished yet. But I think that it's like squashing the limiter is getting squashed into by the sub, and then that's like making everything else loud or quieter. So that's a good idea.
Yep. Yeah, but that's my opinion on that. Does the flow in the second half of the drop lose us? It's a weird ass breakish rhythm. I think the whole entire arrangement, as far as like the rhythm and what's happening with like the back and forth between call and response and like all of that, is like just like perfect. Like I didn't notice anything that was off-putting there.
Okay.
I can kind of see where Real's coming from the amount of kicks, but I didn't really mind it. But I also wasn't really listening with like a sub, so I'm wondering if I was listening through my monitors, if it would be a different opinion. I do think that a lot of that though stems back to the original point that I made earlier with the whole low end focus. So I think if it was a little bit low end focus, like I wouldn't even be thinking about that being a potential issue.
Okay.
Does the bass line in the second half suck? I feel like it might suck. No, I think like the whole bass line's cool. I think all the arrangement here is fire.
Okay.
And the sound design is fire. Anything else? Thanks. More, dude. It ends only after 51 seconds. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do
Okay,
that. Tuz.
about arrangement question, Jesus. About arrangement here real quick. Do you think that that is a good point to go into a little breakdown section, or do you think that's not enough of that? Cuz I could duplicate it and do like some small changes, but I'm not sure how I could extend that first drop. I don't know if it's enough. It feels short because of the tempo, but I also don't think I could make it much longer without, like, I was really struggling to make it longer, I guess,
So
without going into like a breakdown, a new section.
I would duplicate it. I think you should duplicate it. And the way that I would go about kind of expanding, at least in my head, what I think is change like a little bit of the motif, like not a lot, but maybe like even if it's like one note at the end, right? Like maybe if you go, instead of going down, you go up or something like that. As far as like frequencies are concerned. But the big thing that I think would be really crazy is if you voice like the fake out part of that second section with like real instruments, like a piano and like strings and stuff, and then fade it back into like the really heavy, like bassy stuff as you get to that like next section. I think that would be really
like
fun.
do the little bom 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 with like a violin, and like have strings do the progression underneath it or something like that.
Yeah.
That could go really hard because it would signify that like the energy is not completely disappearing. Like I can definitely process that to make it feel more like a fill than an end. That's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah, so that's what my head was thinking. And then as far as the second half of the song, I think you got to do something like I like the halftime idea, and like yeah, just going like even further. I think going even further, like when you do that, my recommendation would be keep a lot of the same sounds for most of it, but then maybe have like turnarounds and fill sections be like that Nero-y, wacky.
Yeah, I'm gonna reference like a volume actually for like the very harmonic neuro stuff, because I feel like I'm confident that I can do that now. Maybe even like chroma and neuro stuff, like some color would go hard. Yeah, but that's a good idea. All right, appreciate it.
Those are my thoughts. Yeah, that's crazy. That's like, I think this is my favorite thing that I've heard from you, which is why I want it to be longer. Definitely
more than typewrite.
More, yeah, dude. I think it's mainly the I'm like really bad at the music theory side of music. So hearing you articulate it this way is really inspiring. It sounds great. Like the music theory in this is like nuts. Like I said, it's like volume inspired, but like it's definitely its own thing. It feels like super jazzy, which I like. I like the jazziness of it. So,
all right, dope. Thank you, guys.
Heck yeah. All right. Oh, it's me next. So like I'm gonna preface this by saying, I think you guys already know this, but I'm just gonna say it again. I lost like the last 2 hours of this track that I worked on it because I deleted it all on accident. So basically, I'm gonna have to redo the drums anyway. So like definitely like tell me what you think drum wise. Should change. And then vocals aren't like exactly where I think I will end up putting them, but I don't know. Basically just the drums though, I guess like really be as brutal as you possibly can, because I'm gonna have to redo them all anyway. But yeah, here's the doodly wombos.
It sucks. That's as brutal as it could be.
Moral of the story, don't wear tennis shoes unless you're going to the gym. This little plastic thing with little dooley wombos. Not okay. For about 5 minutes, we're kind of ready for you to leave. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out, head out, head out, head out, head out, head out, head out. This little plastic thing with little dooley wombos. Try that, she'll love it. If you really want to catch her attention. If you want to talk more, come find me. Come find me. Come find me.
You walked off and left her, and now you're talking with another girl.
That was fire.
Oh, I
That
just
vocal
realized.
sample's hella funny.
Yeah.
What's that from?
It's literally an Audio Technica lavalier mic demo, like a test of it. And I feel like they just found some random person saying silly things. And we're just like, this will be great. This will be great.
Yep. It was great.
So,
Alright. I'll go first since I sat out last time. How's the mix in the high end? Too crunchy or just right? I personally like it. I personally like it too. Personally. Personally, I like it.
oh, I see what you did there.
But yeah, it sounds good. I don't think there's any mix issues here, really. I wasn't watching mini meters or anything because I'm confident in your mixing, and I didn't notice anything bad. So, thumbs up from me. Are the vocals adding enough, or should I get spicier with the word selection and effects? I'm not gonna lie, I never listen to vocals in this genre as the words that they're saying, except like the two that you put at the very ends of sections, like the one where it was like, all right, I'm a head out. That one worked, or whatever it said. That one worked perfectly because it was going into a little breakdown section. And then the very ending one, I already forgot what it said. Because it's like, I feel like the vocals are more of an instrument than like something that you listen to the words of in this genre. So I don't think the word choice is bad because I don't know if the word choice matters as much. But like the ones that I did pay attention to the words of, because there wasn't like, I knew that it was the end of a section, they sounded good to me. Oh geez, I'm about to pull my interface off. Oopsies. I want to do more variations on the drum groove, but the current variations work. Yes, Twan was cooking in chat when he said some triplet rolls would go hard in the second half. Even like some, I'm talking speedy triplet rolls, like the ones where it feels more like a blah blah than like an actual triplet.
I see what
But
you're
like
saying.
some super fast like trappy rolls go hard as fuck in this style. Other than that, drums were really cooking. I like the processing on them too. Like they're punchy, good business. The flows are good. I'm kind of iffy. This isn't one of the questions, but I know you can take the heat,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm gonna
cook.
say it anyways.
Yeah.
I'm iffy on that. Like I grew to like it, but I'm iffy when it first comes in about that like sustained FM. That's like it feels less processed than the rest of the sounds. I think you can make it like phasier maybe. Do you know the one I'm talking about in the second half? Like the
Is it
pure FM
this one?
sustain?
Okay. Yeah.
I
see what you're saying.
liked it as it played more, it grew on me, but it felt weird when it first came in. So I don't know if that's just a me thing. Like normally I just wouldn't like those FM sustains at all. So the fact that I grew to like it means that it's pretty good. But I think you could play with it some more to make it sit better. Other than that, fire tune, bro. I personally liked it.
Word up. Thank you. Yeah. No, I'll keep all that in consideration. I think you're hitting. It's one of those things where when you hear all the timbre for so long and you have the ear fatigue and all that kind of fun stuff, it's hard to tell which basses don't stand out and which ones like sound good. And
Yeah,
don't know.
for sure.
but yeah,
And take my words with a grain of salt too, because I have like preferences in sound design. So that doesn't mean they're bad.
word. Yeah. Usually what I do is I
Yeah.
just explore and then see if I like
yeah,
it, and
see
then if
you
it
find something you like more.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, real. Lay it down, bro.
I like
Lay it down
the.
well.
That's funny that you didn't like that, Percy, because that was probably one of my favorite sounds.
Of course
because
you
every-
like that one.
I did, and I think it's because of like the harmonic content in it. The whole song, like there is a lot of high end going on, and like it's almost to the point where you can't hear like in the very beginning you have this like really cool motif where it's like I can't tell if it's like a little melody or like a mud pie that's like interplaying with the bass. Like here we go to like 20 seconds in. Wait, a little bit farther. Where you had your mouse here. Yeah,
This little plastic
right there. Where
thing
it
with
goes like doo-doo-doo-doo. That shit sounds so cool.
this little
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
So it's mud pie, and then like I'm intentionally pitching it as well as like stretching them. So like that last one was like a stretched note, and yeah, like it's all just manually tuning every single hit of the mud pie. I don't know if that's crazy or
Do it
not.
more. Do it more. No, that's what people do. That's like I've seen Copycat do a shit ton of that. Like, cause you can't really put down MIDI notes. So you have to just Minimeters is goated for this, by the way, because you can see where it's actually hitting. That's why maybe music theory helps a little bit because you know like which notes to hit off the top of your head. But like do that more just by ear because it's nice to make those little phrases that you might lose when you're doing mud pies.
yeah, that's that. Well, that sounded super cool. That was my other favorite part. That sustained bass and that. Other than that, I really like when there's like a loud harmonic in like the 3 to 5K range or just like anywhere up there. And it felt like most of the song was being driven by like the high end, which is okay. It's just I personally don't prefer the high end being really driving like that. That's 100% subjective though, and I know it sounds really good on a big system. But it felt really nice when you went from that to like bringing in the like harmonically rich basses. So it was a super nice contrast. It's like some rain after a long drought, which is nice. Is the high end supposed to move? I don't think it's too crunchy. Like it's a really good high end. It's just like the main focus for a lot of sections, which is okay. I personally really like harmonic stuff. Like as you know, I'm always trying to turn shit into chords. No, the vocals were fire. And earlier when you were like saying how to name the song, just take a vocal phrase, you picked the perfect phrase from the vocals. When I heard it, I was like, oh, I get it. And the processing on them too. That's like the first thing I noticed. I was like, fuck, how did he process them like that? Like you have a bunch of really cool tricks for processing vocals that you've just like continued to add to, and it's nice. You can use like the same vocal and it just like sounds way different because of the way you processed it. I'm gonna do more variation to the drum grooves. I don't know. I thought it felt like there was enough variation. I mean, you could always, if you think you could do more and keep it cohesive and do more, but I don't think it was like I
Like,
was
the big
thinking, man,
thing-
I need more drum grooves.
The big thing was like I liked, so like the second drop was like the pinnacle, or like more, I would say, inspired, and I hope it was felt, because like there were certain sections where maybe I can find it.
If you really want to catch her attention.
Like that is like a different set of drums.
She'll love it. Love it. Love it.
That's like a little bit of like a different flow, and I was just like hoping it's not too jarring but also keeps it like fresh. So if you're saying that it didn't sound bad, then that's a good thing, because like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like use different samples, use like slightly different flows, but then still make it all like make sense. So yeah, and the thing is like the second drop I was like more happy with, because the first drop is basically the same drums and flow the whole time, but like it didn't get old. Or did it get old? Like you're saying
Not
it
at
didn't get
all.
old?
I don't think it got old. No, and the second drop complemented it really well. Yeah, you did a really good job from like building from the first drop into the second drop. And the second drop was definitely a climax. It had all the variation, nice timbral changes.
Word. The
Yeah,
It
mid-
low
just
key
the-
feels like
all
almost
drum-
finished already, dog. Like
That's why I'm
this is
sad
a
I
really good
lost.
song.
That's why I'm sad I lost like the 2 hours of drum stuff that I did on the second half. So basically, I think that I'll stick with that vibe then, based on your guys' feedback. Because if it worked, if the drums in the first half worked, then I'm just gonna like redo the spicy drum ideas in the second half and call it a day. I do think that I'm gonna try out those triplet grooves though with the kicks. I think that might go crazy, just a little bit silly in the kick vibe, you know. But no, cool. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else? I just want to make sure before we go on. But no, thank you.
Wow, that was
No, it was
good.
fire.
Heck yeah. The Doodly Wombos. All right. Never again. No. Serge, you have to keep going.
Never again. Final audio. That's very scary. He's never making music again.
He's done. He's done. He's like one of those YouTubers that's like, I'm quitting YouTube.
Then they make like another channel in like a year.
Yeah, they make another video in like a week. What do you mean?
Yeah.
On the same channel.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it. The Garage Band King. Let's hear it. Nah, we know, Serge. I'm giving you, you know, the BM. I'm BMing you, bro.
He's
Yeah.
doing the Clash Royale hee hee ha emoji at you.
Exactly.
Watch out.
Exactly. All right, let's get it. Garage Band King is in the house.
Thank
forgot to fade it. I'm sorry. I was writing ideas in, but let's be real, it was slapping. So
Okay, you didn't fade your own track either, so why should you fade this one?
that's true. Sleep deprivation does that to you, man. All
Oh
right.
yeah, blame it on the nap.
The lack of nap, actually.
Lack of nap, the need of a nap.
I guess it's my turn to go, right? Because I was literally just sitting there listening for the past however long. If that's okay, assuming you guys are chill with that. I have thoughts.
Unacceptable.
I have thoughts, and they might be good or bad depending on how Serge feels about them. But yeah, I think that the melody after the first drop was very nice. I thought it was cool, especially the main lead melody. I think it worked really, really well, and it had like a lot of. I wouldn't say it had a very memorable motif because it's not very repetitive, but that's also not bad. I think it still sounded really nice. It's just like, I don't know if you want it to be more in this style / genre or not. If you want to like, I feel like the one way you could maximize it if you wanted to was to make it slightly more repetitive in some ways. But I feel like it's not necessary in my own opinion. Like, I like the song as it is, but I think that that's one way that you could like flex harder in this genre. I think that one thing that I did notice though, is that the mid-range or like low mid-range counter melody synths were kind of fighting with that main lead synth during that section. So I would say, if you had to pick one of them to be more forward, I would pick the lead synth, the main kind of one. I think you know the one I'm talking about. And yeah, just like EQ out some of the frequencies, even dynamically EQ out some of the frequencies in the other melodic instruments in that section to like make it sit in the mix better. How's the flow of the second drop? Personally, I like it, but I'm open to some ideas. I kind of like all the flows, but and this is like maybe not totally related. Like, I mean, this isn't answering your question exactly, but it's kind of like tangential, but also related. I think that you need a little bit more call and response. So throughout the whole song, you kind of have like the same timbral instrument happening, and maybe it's like a bunch of layers of serums or something like that. But I feel like you should have like a call and response where, you know, that first, what is it, like quarter bar or whatever, that's like kind of like that call melody. Like, I'll give you an example here. So the bwah, bwah. So like the whoop whoop whoop, that could be like a different sound completely. Same with that first initial impact. And I would say I mean, this is all opinionated, right? It's just the timbre of it does get old to me, just a little bit. And I think that the call response, if you like focus on that a little bit, could help with that. Or you could just change up the timbre more frequently. But I think that this song would like really benefit from that call and response energy. But yeah, the flow in general though, everything felt great. Like, you know, it had the whole headbang vibe, like it had the dubstep energy that I think you are going for. Any ideas to make the second build up more different besides the fake out? Yeah, for this I had a couple of ideas. So I think first of all, you should make the fake out longer here. I think you could go 4 more do, and then you could drop it like another set, basically duplicate this section. I think you could make them wait a little bit longer, you know. I think that would be really fun. And then maybe during that section, I think you could also include some stuff like a longer crash, maybe like reverb it out a little bit, and then maybe even include like a white noise sweep during that section as well. And then I think that if you also dried out the bass during that section, so like it feels like you have a lot of roominess to your bass. I don't know if that's reverb or chorusing or what it is that you're using to add stereo information, but you could do something as simple as taking oh gosh, you don't have Ableton. I almost gave an Ableton suggestion. Reduce the stereo width in whatever way GarageBand lets you do that. Reduce the stereo. Okay, chorus, perfect. So I would remove the chorus completely during the beginning of this fake out, and then like all the way down to 0, and then just slowly bring it back in to like 50% during the fake out, and then at the drop just give back to the 100% of the chorus, whatever, and not 100%, but like wherever you have like the highest level of chorus currently. So like if you have your chorus set to 30% most of the time during all these other drops, like that would be where you have it during the drop again, and you'd basically have like, I don't know, if it was 30%, you'd have it like 15% maximum at the end of this little fake out thing. But that was just what I was thinking in my head, because when you take away stereo information during moments like that and then slowly give it back a little bit, and then at the drop give everything else that you haven't given them back yet, it just feels like great tension building and release type energy, especially for this style of like spatial mixing and spatial bass vibes. But anyway, that's what I have to say, dude. This was crazy. As always, dude, I'm impressed that you can make all of this in GarageBand. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna pass it off to the gang.
I'll go. Yeah, that was probably the hardest thing that's ever been made in GarageBand ever.
For real.
One thing, you do this cool thing. It's like you do it on the downbeat, and Magdud even like did it with his mouth after he clicked on it once. It's this cool like triplet downbeat. Downbeats in this genre are like crazy important. And having them be the same is like, I know it's really tempting to like swap the downbeat. Like I literally, if I have 4 downbeats in a row, inevitably I change one of them. But like I've had homies that I show my music to that don't make music, and they're like, dude, you need to have that like one thing right there. Like people even listen for it that don't make music. They don't even know what it's called, but they're like expecting it. So it can never hurt to have one of those, and that'll like kind of solve the call and response problem that Magdu was talking about. Like if you literally just have the same downbeat and it's a different timbre than whatever you're doing for the rest of the time until you hit the downbeat again, that's call and response. And it can be like a really simple quarter note downbeat. It just has different texture. And then like your fills that lead back into it. Can you scroll down to the questions? That's just an idea though. Thank you, Magda. Yeah, melody sounded good. Is that something for would have? No, the saw works. A flute sound is like signy, doesn't fill that much space, and you want to fill a lot of space like you did with the saw. Maybe add some variation to the melody if you're talking about the section in between the first and the second drop. It did kind of lose my attention like towards the end of it, but it's also like a bridge. It's not really built to fully captivate you, so take that with a grain of salt. Flow of the second drop, yeah, flow's good, but I don't know, maybe try the downbeat thing. And I really think you could cook harder on that like triplet downbeat that you did. If that was the same downbeat every time and the timbre was slightly different, I would be fucking stoked. But that's just me. Sound design in this is really cool, super nice. It's loud, it's clear. It sounded really good. Build up more different. Yeah, I like Magduit's idea of the double fake out. You could also do like look up Subtronics and Excision Asteroid. They do this like screechy ass hit that comes right after the fake out, right before the drop. If you can make anything like that, that would be really cool. It's like really, really screechy though and really fucking loud, but you'll see what I mean. I'm pretty sure they like fake out into it and then it drops and it sounds super good. Yeah, that's all I got. This is, I don't know, this is good. I literally, I can't believe you make this in GarageBand. Like I'm honestly interested in seeing how that works.
Yeah, I think what Real's saying about the downbeat is so important in this genre. It's like, I'd say it's like the thing that characterizes a song in the listener's eyes is having like this downbeat that repeats, and like it'll be the thing that people look for. Like Real said, he hit the nail on the head. It's like, and especially live, having that downbeat at the beginning of every phrase is so fucking absurd for this style, because it's just, especially when you have a downbeat like that triplet one, it goes incredibly silly, is my opinion. But other than that, I think that the flow of the second drop is pretty good. I don't know. I think I like the flow of the second drop better than the first half, but I think there was one like quick flow where it was like I think it was eighth notes that went on for a lot longer than I expected. I thought it was going to be like a little fill, but it ended up being like the phrase that you repeated, and I'm pretty sure it like ascended in pitch. And I'm not sure about that bass in particular. I would maybe play around with that one. But I didn't dislike it. It just caught me off guard because it felt similar to the like call bass that you used as like the fill slash call. So I was like, hey, it's gonna be this fill again that I'm expecting, and then it was like, nope, this is the main bass for this section, and then that kind of threw me off a bit. Other than that, I think the rest has been pretty much talked to death. Saw thing fits way better here because flute like Real said, the second that you make any flute-like sound that would fit in this mix, it would just become like a saw or a square again, because you would have to add so many harmonics for it to be like feel not out of place. The flute-like sounds only really work in like these really high-end spacey songs where like when I say high-end, there's like no high-end. Like look at Charles the First, where like everything is low pass and then you have like a flute lead on top. You can't really do that in this style, personally, but other than that, I'd say definitely reference Subtronics, like Real said. I think he's probably the best to like, not exactly this, because the basses are a bit more bro steppy in this than the Subtronics, but with like this standard dubstep vibe, he's definitely the best reference, especially for like your fake outs, because boy, do we know Subtronics love some fake outs. But anyways, yeah, this is goated.
Yeah. Yeah, Serge. Always just nuts. Literally nuts. All right, let me reload Twan's because he said 2. All right. Crashing out and tearing out. Whip. Let's get it.
Cut to the chase. What are you here for?
Oh, I wasn't muted. Sorry. That was hard.
Sheesh.
Real, do you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
Wait, can you scroll down again, Magda?
Oh my god, I keep doing that. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
No, you're good. You're good.
yeah.
Is it okay? Yes, I was reading this while I was playing it. I'm gonna say no because you won't notice it in your headphones or even on monitors with a sub, or even like in a car with a sub, maybe. But live, a 3 decibel difference between the sub is like a serious amount of impact. You really, I've been noticing that recently. You when you want the sub to like deliver impactfully, you set a level for it, and any variation from that level is going to be noticeable, especially if you go below. So yeah, I think it's maybe you're doing that because you're not independent subbing. I would really just get the sub as level as possible, so long as you're trying to deliver the same amount of energy. Because yeah, it's just like that's all you hear in a live setting, or that's all you feel. And when the sub like dips down, it sucks a little bit.
Can I pipe in real quick? I would go as far as like using an independent sub, then rendering out to audio, and then like individually changing the gain on each hit. That's like I've seen so many people do that are like successful in with like their dedicated subs to completely normalize the volume by hand. And I think that's really important to do because like it will destroy the vibe to have like that much difference in your sub. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Like just render it to audio and manually do it.
Flows and layering, intriguing. Yeah, I'd say I liked when you brought in that like this sustainy like spectrally wavetable. That was nice. You hear that in a lot of this style. Yeah, layering was nice. It was a little bit. I don't know how you'd fix this either because I don't want to say turn the high end down because then you're gonna have less energy. But like when you were layering, it was a little bit hard to distinguish the layers. Like you'd have to really listen for them under that like really really loud sustain, but that's okay, honestly. Like I don't think you're going for like a drastically different sound, so I'd say that's tasteful layering if you really have to listen to it. But if you want the layers to stick out, then you're gonna have to maybe push them a little bit harder. Some nitpicky advice on how to level this track up would be nice. Okay, one thing I was seeing, I was hearing it too, but then I saw it on Minimeters. There's a couple pretty gnarly peaks around like 5,000, I think. I don't really look at Minimeters that much, so I'm not sure what it is. But it's like you see two farther up, like pretty much past the final line. Yeah, they were like around there.
That's like 12,000.
Okay. Yeah, just and it wasn't. They were inconsistent, so I think they're like associated with one of the layers that you were using. You should be able to pick them out pretty easily. I've been hearing that a lot lately. Like, and I hear it even in like professional music. Like I was listening to Kaibon the other day, and there's this like fucking gnarly ass peak really high up, and then once you hear it, it's all you can hear. And you end up skipping the song. So yeah, I mean like even pros do it, but I think it's easy to like dip it and find it and dip it. Do we want more of this for the Scrooge catalog? Yeah. I like how you've been kind of leaning into this like really heavy, almost tear out style. Yeah, it sounds sick. It's really loud, really gnarly. I think it like you kind of already go for a similar vibe with like your rap beats, but then you like turn it into EDM with this, and it sounds really good. Yeah, that's all I got. It's a sick track.
Yeah. We kind of already covered like the difference in sub volume. Like it's just something you can't really have it. I don't know. And it's a hard thing to fix if these are mud pies. You might just really need to do dedicated sub and like get rid of all the lows, which would suck, but that's what we got to do sometimes. Overall flows and layering intriguing or consistently interesting. I think so. Like you kept the flows different enough that I didn't feel like any one lasted too long. Sound design felt nice enough. I like all the layers. I do feel like there was some, I don't know what it was with the mix. Will you play like a section of the first drop? Yeah, that's good. There's like no mids. I don't know if that's just my ears, but there's no mids, and it makes like there's high end and there's low end, but the mid is what like grounds the track and like glues the highs and the lows together. I don't know if it's like my ears, and I there actually are mids, but it doesn't look like they're too present on Minimeters. And I know like we say not to have many mids, but that's really low mids, and having the like actual mids helps to glue shit together so it doesn't feel like I don't know. I can't really verbalize how I feel about the mix. I don't know if someone else can do it better, even if anybody else notices it. Nitpicky advice on how to level up the track. I don't know. Mix probably, just to my ears. More of this for the Scrooge catalog. Yeah, of course. This is nice. Like Real said, it's the vibe that you want with the rap beats, but because this is not a rap beat, it gives you a lot more room to actually push the vibe as opposed to when you have to worry about like fitting vocals on top of it. Yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Nice. 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 Okay. So
Nice.
yeah, nice. The first question is pretty interesting, or I guess yeah. I mean, here's my thought. I'm just gonna like open up Ableton while we were waiting here because I have something I can show you. It's definitely just like the gang members were saying. It's not okay. I think there is a way, though. There is a way. All right, and maybe they don't know yet, but they're about to find out that there is a way to deal with this. So let me just open up this rack. So this rack isn't out yet, but I will put it out soon. But I just want to show you the concept. I saw this in a Jade Cicada rack, and I thought it was really, really interesting because it just worked so well. And the idea here, oh, this rack is so unfinished. The idea here is you can use a limiter on just the sub frequencies in a mix on your mud pies. And with OTT and Ableton, you can do this to where you have an infinite ratio for the downwards compression, and you basically just set it to whatever you want. Gosh, this rack is so unfinished. You can set it to wherever you want, and you can just set the crossover to wherever you want. So if you know what your highest sub note is hitting, and you just set the crossover to that, and then limit it to wherever you want your sub to be. So like, you know, like let's just say -6, right? Or something even lower. Like wherever your quietest sub note is hitting is where you probably want this limiter to sit. That works great. And if it's good enough for Jade Cicada, it's good enough for me. So yeah, that's why I think it's worth doing that. And yeah, I really like the fact that OTT makes that kind of simple and easy to do. So yeah, that is my recommendation there. And I think that it is worth doing. Like I said, this rack I'll put out soon, but in the meantime, just use OTT. As for the next question, is the overall flows and layering intriguing, consistently interesting? Yeah, I think that the arrangement and the sound design is nice. I think that the biggest thing that I was not excited about is what you said, and I could even tell it was there. It felt like you had reverbed your basses pretty aggressively, and a little bit of reverb is okay, especially if you're being very conscious about what frequencies you're sending into it and what frequencies you're letting out of it. So, you know, if you're multi-band processing or multi-chain processing and then EQing, it works just fine. But because you're not doing that, I can tell you're like not really doing that. It's like smearing the whole sound. And maybe you're doing it a little bit, but the idea is like you have to be like really careful with how much mix you're putting on the reverb and what frequencies you're allowing to enter the reverb. Because if you're not, it ends up feeling washed out. And I think that's what happened. Yeah, but like even still, it's like too much. Whatever you did was too much. Oh, it wasn't intentional. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's just too much of it. You can get away with like a little bit of that, but it has to be like very subtle. I would also recommend if you're going to use a convolution reverb to achieve that kind of feeling, make the sample that you're using really, really, really short, or at the very least shorten it with the like the size amount, you know, like how you can change, like if you're using kilohertz convolver, for example, because you said you're using multipass, I would say make the sample as short as you possibly can, like literally like microscopic, like almost the size of a drum. That length is usually what I have found works the best. And yeah, I think that if you do that, you'll fix a lot of your problems with your bass, especially in the mids. Because yeah, I do agree with Percy. There was like this hole there that didn't feel very good. And I think that because there was a hole there and because the convolution was also smearing the upper frequencies, it just felt a little bit harsh. Not too harsh. Like it was still palatable for me, you know, because I do like harsh stuff, but I could just tell like it's going to be rough for most people to listen to, and but not enough to really. Yeah, that, so like with reverb and a lot of things when it comes to sound design, at least in my own head, the goal for me when it comes to sound design, when I'm adding things like spatial information, is for it to be felt but not heard. So if you can really hear whatever it is that you're adding, then it's probably too much of whatever it is that you've added. So like my thought process is, if I can hear it, then it's too obvious. Like I want it to be like that subtle, like you barely even notice that it's there. I do that with drums too. That way you maintain a feeling of dryness, but you still get the benefits of the wideness of the sound. Yeah, some nitpick advice on how to level this track would be nice. Yeah, I think the sub was like a little bit loud. Maybe the sub's actually okay. It's just because you have no mids, it feels kind of like it sticks out. But maybe once you fill up those mids and tame those high frequency vibes a little bit, it should work out fine. Yeah, really just like zero in there with the high end with some micro soothes or soothe or whatever the Waves one is. Waves, is it not Clarity? What's the Waves plugin called? You know what I'm talking about. Any of that stuff would be nice. And then yeah, do you want more of this? Yeah, dude, of course. Kidding me? I think that like, I mean, as someone who used to make a lot of curves, yeah, thank you. As someone who used to make a ton of hip hop and rap beats, like I get it, it's fun, it's cool, but I think that it's also not, you're not like, I think that you can push a lot more boundaries in electronic music and you can still rap on it. That's why I like electronic music, is like you don't have to not rap on electronic music. You can totally do that. There's lots of people who do. And I think that's why I prefer it over bass music. Like I feel like even on this type of a track you could do vocals. So yeah, those are my thoughts. And I think that's everybody. But thank you, Twan. That was cool. I enjoy the arc that you have embarked upon, and I think you should keep a steady course, maintain that direction. All right, next up, let me just make sure was it this track?
By the way, we had a blonde submission and feedback channel. If you want to.
Oh yeah, let me grab that.
Blending the rules a little bit.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna have to
discipline him.
Yep. I'm gonna have to. He better be in the chat. If he's not in the chat, Blonde, you gotta say something, bro. Let us know you're here, or you might get scolded later. All right. Next up. What?
Nice.
Nice, nice.
I forget whose turn it is.
I think it's my turn. I haven't gone first in a bit.
Flex.
All right. What type of in-between effect should I add when the song is at this stage? Just effects in general, low key. Like more filtering of stuff, more risers and impacts and noise to guide the motion of the song. A lot of fills can be nice, like bass fills, drum fills. It feels like a skeleton right now, where there's like a lot of blank spots, both in like the drops and in the break section, that really do feel like they need just stuff. I wouldn't worry about over cluttering the song because it's at phaser fills or riffs, like Blonde said. I wouldn't really worry about over cluttering it because it's so under cluttered right now. It's like you just bought a new house and there's like maybe a bed in the corner, but there's no other decorations or anything. Like at that point, I wouldn't worry about like cluttering the house up yet because there's nothing on the walls. There's no it's just an empty room right now, so you don't need to worry about putting too much stuff out because there's plenty of room. Is my my analogy. Whereas if you had like a room like Dino's, the mod here, it's like all messy. Then you got to worry about putting stuff in there. Like if the song's too cluttered. But yeah, your room's looking like that, bro. It's not gonna nothing's too much cluttered there. Except the decor is kind of bad already. Like that purple and yellow doesn't go the best. But your room has like a nice decor going. It has like some brown walls and then like some nice carpet, or not brown walls. Okay, this has gone too far. I'm moving on. A steady melody within the song. I don't know how I feel about a melody here. I think this you could definitely do with a melody. Like you have a nice little bass melody kind of already, so I think you could like make a motif melodically with that. I would play a lot with the sound design of the melodic instrument if you do add it though. Like it would be try and make it sit nicely. I don't have any instruments off the top of my head that like sound design styles that I can think of that would fit, but just play around with stuff. Want to add a vocal, but I struggle with compression related to the bass and vocals. Loudness points. Best thing to do here is just high cut the bass or low cut the vocals aggressively, and then you don't really have to worry about that. Like get rid of all the low mids in the vocals, make it definitely more high end heavy, and OTT on vocals, put a little reverb on it, a little bit of delay at some point. But like make a delay as a send and then feed like one word from the vocal phrase into it and have that word ring out. Don't have it be like on the track. Structured points where vocals come out and then not play them elsewhere. Yeah, just play around. I definitely just get vocals in there first and you'll probably get a feel for like where you want them to be. Other than that, let's let who do I want to throw under the bus? Let's let Real take over because he's muted.
There's a fucking song, I can't remember the name of it. It has this like exact motif in it. And I kept thinking you were gonna do it. It's like do 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 do, and it was fucking ringing in my head.
Oh,
Which
now
is
I
a good
hear
thing.
it. I hear it too.
I can't remember the name of the song though. I was looking for it the whole time you were talking. Um, okay, one thing I noticed when I was looking at mini meters, it kind of looks like for not the saw base. The saw base has high end. On one of your bases, there's basically no high end, and the curve of everything down to the sub was just flat. It looked like you distorted everything until it kind of walled off, and then you low passed it. Maybe instead of doing that, I don't know what waveform you started with. If you started with like a sine, you could do some FM to get harmonics so that when you distort them, the harmonics are at different levels rather than being just like a wall of mids and low mids. And that kind of made it like a little bit muddy. The mud wasn't that noticeable though because you really only have one patch playing. I think if you were to try to add a melody in, the mud would be a little bit more noticeable. And those lower frequencies are just like really resonant on big systems, so having them walled like that, it's gonna sound kind of funny. I don't want to overclutter the song. No, it's not overcluttered. You could add a melody. It's kind of simple, and I like how simple it is. The it's a nice little memorable melody. That you're doing with the bass with stars. Ear candy fill. Yeah, I mean ear candy never hurts, especially like even in place of like fills. You can just have ear candy or like reverb sweeps or little like granular things. I do a lot of granular stuff for ear candy. I think it works really well. Want to add a vocal, but I struggle with the compression related to the bass and vocals loudness points. Okay. I've made bass music where it has like the vocal playing over the bass. You just need to process the vocal in a way that it kind of works around the bass. Like you can have a pretty full spectrum bass, and if you're like you can separate them like in terms of frequencies. You can dip some of the bass. You could do like the soothe EQ. So soothe is like cutting out the frequency of the vocal from the bass. Or you could like make the vocal really wide and the bass pretty mono, and they can even be hitting like in the same frequency, and it's not going to sound that bad. Even like fucking this Mac Miller Levity flip, they have the vocals panned hard right the whole time. And you don't even notice because like everything else is really wide, but it like really separates the vocal from the rest of the mix. And it doesn't bother me for some reason. So you can do that right. A lot of times like hard pan stuff doesn't sit right with me, but people have done it and it sounds good with vocals. Or yeah, you could do what you're saying. You could have structured points where the vocals come in and out, and then have the bass come back in, bass dips out, vocal comes in. If you're in Ableton, one thing I put on vocals all the time is grain delay. It's just like you can like pitch it around. You can like group the grain delays and have them running in a rack. So you have like your dry vocal, your grain delay vocal, and you can pitch it up like 7 in the grain delay, or you could pitch it up an octave or down 5. And then you just kind of turn them down. And so then your vocal is like really taking up a lot of space, but most of it is like in the stereo field because it's grain delay. There's also all sorts of other like Crystallizer works just as well too. It's a Soundtoys plugin, and like Portal probably works. But if you have Ableton, grain delay is amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I'd really focus on like that bass I was talking about where it's just a wall. Dial back the distortion a little bit so it's like pushing different harmonics. Play with the FM if you're FMing. If you're not FMing, FM a little bit and like twist the knob and you'll see it like pushes different harmonics. But yeah, other than that, this is a good track. It just needs like a little bit of polishing.
All right. So, yeah, sorry, I was posting about my Patreon because I have tons of free racks on there that are like really fun for Ableton gang members, and one of them is Soothe related. It's just a dynamic EQ though, but it works great. So, yeah. First question. All of them. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like the biggest thing that's like a really nice in-between effect that not a lot of people use. I mean, some people use them, of course, but like I don't see it often amongst like the flock. Is ping pong delays, bro. Ping pong delays are so cracked, and like I don't see enough people using them. So more ping pong delays, please, everybody. All right, PSA, more ping pong delays. But no, Yeah, you can use like reverse samples, you could use sweeps, you can use very intentional kind of impact sounds, whether it be a crash, um, things like that. I think that like when it comes to the effects though, that's not what I think that like the in-between effects aren't really like what stood out to me in this. I think that the basses, a lot of the sounds in this are super dry. I think you could get away with like subtle, very subtle and conscious amounts of reverb or chorusing or something along those lines instead of doing like on the saws, for example, in this, they're really wide, but they're also really phasey, and I don't know if I like it. I don't know if you're using like wider or some stereo widening thing. I would say like avoid using that on like your main sounds. And if you are going to use it on your main sounds, use it in like really, really, really tiny amounts. Instead, though, I would recommend using very, very small amounts of reverb or chorusing. And it seems to, in my opinion, get better results than widening tools. And this is coming from somebody who used to use a lot of widening tools, like whether it be the Infected Mushroom wider or Polyverse. Is it Polyverse wider?
It's an infected mushroom.
But it's Infected Mushroom who made it. Okay, yeah, that I used to use a lot. I also used to use the not Insight. What's the one from Isotope? That one. I used to use a lot of widening.
Like Isotope Stereo Imager or something.
Yes.
Yeah, the one where you can just like drag and drop for the bands.
Yeah.
The widen.
And like, there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like on very mono elements or elements that are very focused, like your main base of your track, those tools can hurt more than help from my own personal experience. I think it's better to be like using sends or more reverb or chorus related stuff, just because it feels timbrally different than the bass, so it feels like it's a separate thing, which is nice because then you can still have this very focused bass, but then get like this other thing that's happening that reminds you of the bass, but it's stereo. And of course, subtly, like the big keyword there is like when you're doing any of this stereo widening things, at least for the majority of your main forward focus sounds, be subtle with it, because if you do go a little bit overboard like you did here, it ends up making this stereo feel that doesn't feel quite right. And it's definitely, I would say it's like on stereo, it's not the worst thing ever because you can still kind of hear things, but on mono systems, it's terrifying because like I would say you should mono your track and just listen to it, because I'm almost certain you're gonna lose like half of that saw wave almost immediately, and that's okay. It's just something to be conscious of. Like if you want that to happen, that's okay, right? Like you can totally do that, but just be aware of the fact that whenever you sum this to mono, you're going to potentially have some issues. And most live systems are mono, so it's just something to consider. Next question. I don't want to overclutter the song. I think that you need to add more. I think that it's a great start. I love all the timbres of everything. I think the drums are fun. Like everything is where it needs to be. But I think that if you want to go this minimal route, my recommendation to you is to explore some different timbres. Here, I have a video that I can send in chat actually. Hang on a second. And you don't have to watch the whole thing, but I would watch like the first 10 minutes or so of this video. And it's a video that I made that talks about this whole ideology. It's called the fractal technique. But the idea is like, it's a way that you can make different sounds with the basses that you already have. And it kind of walks through the whole philosophy behind it. But I think that that technique on this track would make it go much further without you having to really like add new elements. You'd basically just be continuing the timbral depth of your song as the song continues on, which means you can get away with it being like more minimal. which I don't mind. It's just if you're going to be minimal, you have to keep people interested somehow. And I find that the timbral dynamics is what makes people like excited. As for your next question, oh wait, this is kind of like the same. So you can't tell if it needs a steady melody within the song or if just some ear candy fills empty points could help. I think you could get away with just the ear candy aspect and it would be fine, especially if you address the stereo stuff and maybe the timbral stuff. I think you could get away with like, I don't know, some weird like zippery sounds every once in a while, or like I was talking about earlier, the reverse sounds, the impacts, things like that. Especially if you add a vocal for the fills, and I guess I'm jumping ahead here, but yeah, I think if you do add a vocal and have like these sections of drop, and then maybe like at the end of each 4-bar segment you have like a fill, and that fill has the vocal in it, you're set. Especially if you do things like use reverb or other time-based effects like the ping pong delay to like fill in some of these gaps. And I think Percy talked about this earlier on a different song, but I think it would work here really well too, where when you use these effects, try and filter out frequencies when you send them into the effect. So like, for example, if you're using a ping pong delay, maybe set it so that the ping pong delay is bandpassed. So that way, when it does keep delaying on and you're going into the next section with the new timbre, it's not interfering with the low end frequencies. So I think that would be really fun for this kind of a track. Because I think minimal tracks can actually go really hard. I mean, even in my music, even in the song that I showed off today, like literally all I have is drums and a bass for like a majority of the song. And then every once in a while I have like a weird little FX and some vocals. So it's definitely possible to do. It's just you have to make sure that that timbre evolves over time. And yeah, no, I think I like this second part of this third question is what I would focus on if you want to add vocals for sure. And I think you should add vocals. I think vocals add a lot of, I don't want to say aggressive presence, but it makes, it's a very like lead element. Like it's a very like forward lead element, which is nice to kind of add to the call and response of the song. Because you already have some call and response, but then when you have like that every 4-bar break where there's vocals, it's kind of like this other response to the entire previous call, which is like the 3.5 bars or whatever of drop. So yeah, overall though, I think this is like a really good start. I think you should definitely keep working on it. I liked the mix down. I know that you may not be asking for this feedback, but I will say I think you should work on the side chain. That's definitely something worth experimenting with, especially when you're starting like this journey into the electronic music world. Because as someone who basically took forever to learn how to sidechain properly, I wish I would have focused on it earlier on in my musical career, because it really makes a world of difference for your drums and how they sit in the mix with all of your other tracks. So yeah, whichever way you want to sidechain, I would just experiment with it more and try and get it to feel more pumpy in the way that I think I was expecting. But yeah, overall, really cool song, dude. I think you're on to something here. What, bro? Nice. Yeah, cool, dude. That's cool. Yeah, I think with these stereo-y saws, you can get away with them. Just don't use them like for long periods of time. I think it's totally fine to have like a moment that's all stereo-y and wacky. As long as it sounds good in mono, you can totally do that. But I would say a majority of your drops should not be doing that. I would say most of the time you want the focused, center, very straightforward vibe. Yeah, ring mod on everything. Honestly, ring mod on the master. 10 of them on the master. All doing different things too. 10 different ring mods. All different frequencies. Alright, what is this? If you say ring mod again, I'm going to put you 6 feet under. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Can we ring mod large father? Oh my god, he deleted your message, bro. This guy is salty. He's mad. All right. Wow, Afria, meow, oh my love. Do I need more lyrics in between meows? I'm sorry. I wasn't ready for that. Would two female harmonizing between the meows and English be cooler? Would anyone actually enjoy this type of music? I guess we'll find out. Sorry, I just had to read those 'cause
Oh
that
my
was spicy.
love, meow, 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 meow. Oh my love, meow, meow, meow,
Oh, what a
It's
journey.
perfect.
What
It's
a
perfect. It can't be beat.
Oh. Oh, well. This is 3 minutes. I'm not getting back. All right, who wants to cook on this first?
I think you want to cook on this first, Mag. Do it.
Oh, I really don't, but I will. All right. Do I need more lyrics in between meows? No, I think you need more meows actually, less lyrics. I think more meows and less lyrics would go harder.
Couldn't agree more.
I think that also if you can incorporate like a real meow with the human meows, you know, like more actual cat meows, like pre-drop like meow and then like into reverb from like obviously like a cat, like an actual cat, not me, but like an actual cat into reverb, that pre-drop would go hard. Would two female harmonizing? I mean, that kind of goes into it's kind of like the same. It's answered by what I just talked about, but yeah, no, less like real people and more meowing would be the way to go. Would anyone actually enjoy this type of music? Honestly, I think some people would really like this music, which is, I don't want to say that. Like it hurts to say that actually.
Mag Duo would love this kind of music.
I don't know about
His
that.
favorite.
I'm not some people, but
He was telling us in chat about how he's gonna listen to this on repeat after
yeah.
after we're done with Beef.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite genre.
Yep, meowcore.
Meowcore, yeah. Meows. No, it's meows.
Meows. Oh man.
Yeah. Would anyone actually enjoy this? Yeah, I do think that some people would actually like this kind of music, which is super scary. Yeah, Ben Jordan has a whole interesting video on how we're gonna have to start doing reconnaissance, or not even reconnaissance, just research on like tracks that are actually made by people and not made by people. And what's crazy is like you can find that out. So I guess just hope that the laws don't change to where you can't do this anymore, I guess. But yeah, picture goes hard. The candy on the cat is definitely yeah. Yeah, thank you for this. What about you guys? What do you think? I cooked.
I'll cook. Mix was fucking phenomenal. A major label would accept this. I'd say send it to Monster Cat or Rushdown or Bass
Nah,
Rush.
bigger than Monster
Bigger
Cat,
than
bro.
Monster Cat.
Send it to
Sony
Universal
Music.
Group.
Yeah.
Sony. Send it to the White House, bro. They'll take it.
No, and Magda was spitting. Strip all the lyrics back and replace them all with meows. You could have at least 10 times as many meows. I would process them with like Chroma or Pitch Map, reverse them, smear them. You really don't need anything except for the meows. If you just took everything away and left the meows there, that would be fine. And maybe like a kick drum, but just one kick drum. In the intro. Would 2 female harmonizing? No, but like I said, if you pitch map the meows and you built chords out of them, that would go pretty hard. Would anyone actually? Yeah, me. I would enjoy this. I would listen to this after you submit it to Sony Records.
He'd be all 100,000 plays within the first day.
Yeah, I don't know. This was nice. A little bit too much reverb in the high end, but that's okay.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's great. It should be like a dog making barks and woofs instead. I'm biased, but you need to like compliment it. Do the whole like every animal needs to have their own song. Like the Oink Mimic remix mentioned in chat by Blonde would go hard. You need like Naycore, some fucking horses braying on the beat. There's so much potential here, though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Is it AI generated? I got that vibe, but I'm not sure. Anyways, people would listen to this kind of music for sure. But
I hope it would. Well, I gave fake feedback because I thought it was AI generated. I'm gonna feel like a dick if it's not.
yeah, you can tell with the high end. That's like the dead giveaway for a lot of this stuff because the high end gets really complicated for AIs to replicate, so it ends up getting kind of fucked. But yeah, cool prompting.
Yeah. There you have it. Meow. All right. This is gonna be funny. The juxtaposition between these tracks will be glorious. Well, yeah, okay, so it was AI. There you have it, folks. AI is about to take like 30% of the EDM artists out of the market, which is super hype because it's all the people who like barely put any effort in and like really just cookie cutter, you know what I'm saying? I hope all of those
We're saying
people...
deep dub artists. No.
Rhythm's going away, lads. There's gonna be a computer up on the stage. Yeah, you're just gonna see Hal from Hal, like the little Linux robot. You're just gonna see that up on stage, and then you're just gonna hear a bunch of music, and people are gonna go crazy. Whoa!
Wow!
How does he do it? All right.
Make sure you refresh Magduet.
Oh, yep. All right. Let's embark upon the sacrilegious journey.
It's a first submission from Blonde Secret Blonde Stash.
Blonde Secret Blonde Stash. I like how he says it twice. The Blonde Secret Blonde Stash. It's kind of a vibe. All right.
Yep.
Let us embark.
Rockets loaded, rocket loaded, hey, let's rock and roll this. Time to go, lock, stop, and two smoking barrels locked and loaded. Diamonds glowing, drop, climbing on them. You think I'm dipping out the window, how I got them open. Line around the corner, line them up and blocking over. Sometimes I even stop the smoking when it's time to fold my shade. Line around the corner, line them up and blocking over. Sometimes I even stop the smoking when it's time to fold my shade. I came, I saw, I came, I saw, I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. I came, I saw, I came, I saw, I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. Yeah, I sold, went back, the loose, the hood. Yeah, I listen to X, I beat the bars, got snakes with rats and cats, with cards, the games, a trap, protect your heart. I'm waiting in line, return, refine, new design. It's time to shine, to shine, to shine, to shine, to shine. I hustle, flex, the world is mine. So please believe, allow degrees. These niggas, disease, don't speak, we squeeze. I make the devil go weak, the knees. You hate, you lame, you lost. I came, I saw, I came, I saw. I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. I came, I saw, I came, I saw. I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. She came, I came, that was my name. My chain, my pants with the chain. They know it's me, the heart and the shades. They heard my voice and ran to the stage. My beans, my babes, my mans, my babe, my girls, my ex, my hoes that I left. Wait, I stepped out the car, that's a flex. Get next, get fresh, with the love and finesse. I came, I saw, I came, I saw. I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. I came, I saw, I came, I saw. I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours.
That's hard.
I came.
I came, bro. He's gonna
Damn.
come. Yeah, that had aura, bro.
Yeah, bro, that was fire.
Serious Riz on that gat. All right.
Oh god.
Who wants to go first? I kind of went first last time, so yeah.
Okay. Vocals are just for fun. No, they're not. You were talking about the other day that you wanted to flip this, and I think you did good. Sounds nice. Yeah,
He
chopping
did
them up
well,
a bit.
not good.
Yeah, you done good, son. Levels hit different woes and giving me hell. How do they sound? I didn't really notice anything off with the levels. It sounded like a pretty typical blonde mix, like, which is clean. It's a clean mix. Does the stuttering in the second drop get too repetitive? Maybe a little bit. Honestly, any kind of stuttering kind of puts me off a little bit. Like, he did it in the build-up with the vocal chops. I know that's like a very subjective thing, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, any like sustained stuttering kind of puts me off. Even if you like even just add a lot of reverb after you do it, so it's stuttering into reverb, then I don't really notice it. But it's like a really bricked stutter. It just kind of like rubs me the wrong way. But again, that's super subjective. I wouldn't take that too seriously. Building idea around. I like the first drop more. Okay, and you did this thing where it's like da na 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 na, and then you went into a sustain. I think if you would have went da na 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 na, like you could have kept that flow going, and that could be a switch up in the second half of the drop. Just an idea. The sustain didn't sound bad, but it's just like I wouldn't have been mad if it kept going. I would have liked it, in fact. Should I emphasize the response by switching up the groove, or would that mess up the simplicity too much? No, I don't think that would mess up the simplicity. I think that's a good idea. Um, yeah, I mean, I always love variation, and this is pretty repetitive, not in a bad way. It just like is repetitive in nature, and I think adding some spicy variation like that could actually do a lot. But yeah, that's all I got. This is hard. Sound design is sick as always. And honestly, I thought the vocals fit well. It didn't felt like just placeholders. But yeah,
I'll go next, I suppose. I like this one a lot. I think you showed us without the whatchamacallit, the vocals a couple days ago, and I liked it, but I definitely think the vocals work well here. Like it doesn't feel like an afterthought, like Real said, it kind of goes hard. Um, Stuttering, I agree with Real. I'm just not the biggest fan of stuttering and flows in general. Just like it feels weird to me, and I'm not sure why, and it's definitely subjective, like Real. But that's two of us that agree with it, so maybe take that with one less grain of salt than you would otherwise. Uh, Emphasize the response bits by switching up the groove. I think you can do that. I don't think you need to worry about messing up the simplicity, especially if you're just switching up the groove. Because usually, like, if you make things have a different groove, that doesn't really take away the simplicity unless you go with like some weird polyrhythmic groove. Like it's just a different breed of simplicity, in my opinion. Like tear out switches up the groove of stuff and it's still simple. That's a really shitty comparison, but you get what I mean. Um, yeah, the levels of different wubs. I think they sounded pretty good. I didn't notice super big issues with it. Um, but I'd have to like rewatch or re-listen and like stare at mini meters to yeah. 'Cause I don't trust my ears anymore. I just look at the computer numbers. They know all. Other than that, it's pretty good. I liked it when you first showed me. I still like it. I think the basses feel more polished now. I don't know if you worked on it more, but maybe it's like sound going through compression and it sounds better. I don't know. But it definitely feels a little bit different in a better way. Anyways, Mag, do it, your turn.
Word. Yeah, so the first question, I actually think I did find the culprit. I'm a detective and I have the magnifying glass, and what I found was during these basses, you have these like pitch bendy basses that are being layered with like the sustain bass underneath it, and then it creates this like really semi-dissonant thick moment. You see that? Like the when it's doing that, you also still have a fundamental happening. You see that? I'll tell you. There it was. I followed it with my mouse. I think that is probably, in my opinion, not that good. Like I didn't like that sound. I would just remove the fundamental and keep the pitch down moment. It's like a little, I don't know what it is. It's like an impact, like a bit like a sub impact. I would keep the sub impact and remove the fundamental, so that way you can just feel like the movement of the sub pitching down. Let's see what else. But yeah, I think that's why they were not quite leveled, maybe. But I didn't notice anything in the sub other than that. That was like the one thing I was like, oh, that doesn't really sound pleasant to me. But does the stuttering in the second drop get too repetitive? I didn't really notice it being too repetitive, but I do think that if you're gonna stutter, I would just change up the flow of the stutter. So like, I feel like if you just do like quarter notes or like eighth notes, I guess, then eighth note triplets, then back to eighth notes, then like eighth dotted notes, you know, like all that kind of stuff, or even swing any of that, like as long as you're doing something different each time, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, as it was though, it wasn't like it stuck out to me in a bad way. So maybe it's okay. But I would say like if you're concerned about it, experiment with that, and you'll probably be just fine. First drop versus second drop, which one is more worth keeping building the idea around? I personally like the first drop more than the second drop. So yeah, I don't know how you would approach that, but maybe like kind of carry over the motif of the first drop more into the second drop, but change up the timbre a little bit more, maybe. That's kind of like my thought around that. Should you emphasize the response bits by switching up the groove Or would that mess up the simplicity too much? Um, I think the groove is fine. I actually don't know if I enjoy the timbre as much personally. I really love your call basses. They're nuts. But I think the responses could be like a little bit more centered. Like maybe a little less like reverb, or I don't know what you're using to like spatialize it, whether it's chorus or reverb or what. I think they could be a little bit more focused, and then you'd be fine. Because I feel like the response like should be like more impactful than the call. You know what I mean? So like the calls are perfect, which means that I think the responses should be like a little bit more like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're punching somebody like, bwah, 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 and then just hit them with the, you know, like just some really heavy shit. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I think that the track all in all though is a vibe. So I don't know. Like you really don't have to change too much. I'm just trying to be as nitpicky as possible and hopefully give you some ideas that might help you progress it in the way that you want it to progress. But yeah, I really like your arrangements are always nutty. But yeah, if I had to pick between the two drops, I did like the first one more. I think that the second drop, like I do still like the call basses, but I don't know what it is about the response basses that I don't like. They're like less full or something. I don't know how to describe it.
You never want to drop in energy from your call to response.
Yeah.
That's just what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Because the call is supposed to like build tension for the response, and if it feels like the other way, it's like a ruined. Never mind. It's like a yeah.
No, I get what you're saying, but yeah, no, I think like yeah, the reason why it's not as emphasized is the timbre. It's not so much like the articulation of it; it's the timbre. I would say like really focus on making it even more focused than your calls. Because your calls are like not super focused in a nice way. Like you have some cool space and like they feel pretty wide. So yeah, maybe not like super wide, but you know what I mean. Maybe actually that's something you could try doing is like adding more width to the calls and then making the responses more centered. Kind of like inverse the spatial dynamics of the two. But yeah. Those are my thoughts. Still fire track, Blonde. I would keep the lyrics too, unless you really want to get rid of them or change them, but I think they work really nicely. So I don't know. Like if you really think that if they're in there for fun, then you should do that. You should have fun, Blonde. That's what music is all about. It's about
no fun allowed.
No fun allowed. We'll have to
you must make techno.
Yeah, we'll have to make an album that's called that, like a Flock album.
No fun allowed.
And it's just like, if you're having fun, you have to consciously stop having fun and do something you hate every time. Every time you like catch yourself, you're like, oh shit, I gotta start over again. You gotta like literally start the song over from scratch every time. Yeah, it sounds like a blast.
It sounds like not a blast.
No, I was being sarcastic for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it for tonight, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being such awesome people once again. Thank you, Percy. Real, thank you for sliding through. We appreciate you. Don't forget, Thursdays and Sundays, 9 o'clock EST, Flock Flips, level up, become a G, make tunes every week, twice a week. Anything else? Anything else we need to say? Any other announcements? I guess we'll see, but I'll say it now. We'll see. But I will probably not be hosting the next Flock Flip because I'm going to be not in the United States of America. So, you know, it's going to be kind of hard to like do that, but we'll see how that works out. But yeah, thank you guys. We love you. Flock out.